Bunger bunger. Bro, what are you doing? Push. I don't know. This guy's just fighting one player. Half a player, even. Not even a whole player. Fucking half a player. Guess fucking doing nothing. How did he know I was coming?
We have lost control of a victory point.
Grab the spares, we're patrolling. Orders, in, have a heading. Men,
5 platoons standing by.
suppressing fire!
The munitions point is being taken from us. All victory points are under enemy control. We must act.
What do you need? We have some over here!
Our territory is in enemy hands.
Anti-tank on! Weapon list up!
300 points remaining. Say again, 300 points remaining.
Crew here!
The Kriegsmarine is looking like a sweet deal now,
Light
huh?
vehicle ready?
Pioneers under fire!
Moving is understood, Commandant.
Fire obstacle complete!
If I could just hit this Humber, that would be great.
Orders incoming! Ready? Glory awaits, men! Panzer Grenadiers, get your weapons ready! Enemy territory ahead! Panzer Grenadiers confirmed! Plenty of cover! Down! We shall get it done! My crew has
Panzer Pioneers! Quick march!
Proximity alarm near our victory point.
Everything in order? Forward then!
Taking full out fire!
Say so weit.
Victory point lost.
Panzer Grenadiers! Panzer Grenadiers! Fire! Pulling out of cover! Get there! It will be ours once more!
Out of the way!
Weapon team confirmed. All on standby.
You wait
Understood.
order. Commandant!
What do you need? Captain! Send for supply! Panzer Grenadier cover! Capturing location!
You have all driver.
Weapon crew, eager to dig in. Enemy pushing closer than us!
Back us up slowly.
We found the front line!
Moving to engage infantry.
Something clear, Commandant!
Achtung! Vehicle
Something
here!
Make it quick!
Panzer Grenadiers, Maschinengewehr crew ready. Packer confirmed.
Light vehicle ready?
Eager to get started.
Utility truck has arrived.
March! Fire!
We're losing grasp of a victory point.
Awaiting. We'll stop here.
Retreat!
Go, get us there. We have coordinates.
We have lost control of a victory point.
Fox's finest here.
Get moving! Quick march!
1,000 times.
This is it, let's go! Find some trouble!
You have orders outside. All quiet.
Grab your gear!
Territory sector out of contact.
Drop everything and engage if we come under fire. Pack and crew here.
Completed!
Commandant, we hear you.
Panzer, the Kriegsmarine is looking like a sweet deal now, huh?
You wait order.
Fox's finest here.
Light vehicle ready?
Flame to the sector.
Stopping everything!
Back us up.
Panzer Grenadiers can handle it.
You have orders for
Enemy troopers are pushing the line. Enemy forward element. Come on up. I'll take it down.
Orders?
Proximity alarm near our munitions point.
You are ready.
hunting
Ready.
targets.
Willing and able.
They won't get through here.
Follow me.
You have problems, we have answers.
Standing firm. Share the load. Left move.
You wait for driver. Back at your seat.
Panzer Grenadier, we have a heading. Men, with me.
Panzer Pioneers standing
A victory point is being taken from us.
Keep us out! Laying mines here.
Ready
Grab
forward.
them.
Engaging enemy on sight.
Order,
Move it.
bang, smoke.
Everything in order. Forward.
Victory point lost.
Fox's finest. Here.
Okay, planted.
Ready. Do it.
On the line.
Prepare for counterattack on the line. What you there? Now! Fucking loaded.
empty. Pack 38 is entering the field. Territory is now in enemy hands.
Make it quick. Taking that location from the enemy. Cover! Panzergrenadiers ready! Eager to get started. Making contact with the enemy! They don't stand a chance! Ow! Grab what you can! He's dead! Looking clear! Looking ready! Cover we can fight! Contact!
3 command points are available. We have a battle group awaiting use.
What do you need? Infantry! Engage! Got almost here!
Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy. Enemy forces have captured the victory point. We are losing grasp of the victory point. Victory point under enemy control.
Autokanon absolutely! Light vehicle has orders! Ready!
My crew are ready.
We'll stop here! Unser Abflug ready! Stop! Armor, stop! Jawohl! Light vehicle working already! Pull over! Awaiting! Vehicles and troopers are firing at us! What's the beat of the town? The armor!
Those are coming close!
Our pack has been silenced at the front. We have only 250 points remaining.
I don't know why why it didn't shoot at the thing. Like I attacked the MG and it just didn't shoot at it. It just walked toward it. It's silly.
Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy.
Plenty of ground to cover.
Ability unlocked and available.
Everything in
The
order?
battle group ability has been made available.
That damage. Keep me out here, go!
Unser Auftrag ist ready! Combat Patrol! Begin your skies clear, Commandant!
Standing for capture. Christoph, you have a light? Patched up. Weapon crew, Christoph, you have the gun. March!
Back us up! Loaded!
Enemy on sight. Move it.
Receiving you.
Order, get everything stowed. Now!
Off-map batteries are on standby to fire on threatened sectors.
Let's move. We have a heading. You
Coming
with
here.
me.
Combat
Jawohl,
Patrol!
Kommandant.
Brava! Verwacht us up!
Standby. Take it quick. Get moving. Quick march. Taking that location from the enemy. You have something for us? The enemy is pushing through here.
Oh, here comes the Younger Bunga. Nice.
Panzer 3 on station. The victory
Unga bunga!
Unit lost.
Everyone unga bunga! Unga bunga! Everything!
Supply lines are cut. Territory is isolated.
Wish this guy would play on my side of the map a little bit, but just have to play middle by myself. Feels good.
Ready for order. Beginning rudimentary repairs.
Yeah, and then come in and help me afterwards, right? Not.
No communication from our Panzer 3.
Gather what you can!
Try playing middle next time, dude. I mean, we're pretty outclassed that game. Just pre-made versus random things. Oh. Yo, what's up, Hasu?
Hoorah!
Cold right now, yeah. A
Yo,
little bit.
where's
Big snow.
Dumaze?
Not snow, but frosty. We were
Dude,
getting a
where's
little bit of frost.
Dumaze?
Because I live by the coast, and the way it works in Sweden is if you live in the coast I live, it's
Yeah.
near there's like a body of water that flows through that basically makes it so that it's a lot less snow. So if you go into the mainland, it's a lot worse.
Understood.
That's why Denmark doesn't get like super gigafrost a lot of the time.
Oh, we are playing against Saladin.
I wonder if I'll queue into Asha, but I think they're too high rank.
Yeah, Asha is fucking 2500 or something like that. That guy is crazy, dude. How the fuck he managed to play that many 4v4 games to hit that deal?
Well, there was a period where we all played 4v4 with the NPC horde, to the point where people were crying about it on Reddit.
And he was just AFK spamming that ability and boosting.
Well, we were 4-stacking God River at the same time, and we released this fucking tidal wave of infantry. No, it's literally unstoppable. Like, it's
Big brain tactics.
Because you get something like 60 muni a minute, so by the time it's down soft cooldown, you trigger it again when it's
Dude,
just
I'm
constantly
pretty
looking.
sure. I'm pretty sure if that four abilities blow up together, one Stuka will fucking kill everything.
Yeah, but you keep doing it because back then the cooldown was like was a lot
Yeah,
shorter.
Yeah, I remember.
So you'd kill the first wave, and then the second wave would hit, and it was just constant like assaults from that shit.
Let's get to it, fellas.
I think I'm first time playing this map.
Need some recon? Fall in. Move.
Let's advance team. Securing point.
Yeah, 17 pounders is a lot.
What's our we're gonna drive into
I'm gonna go triple sniper.
Call in some infantry, huh? Scouts! We gotta capture and hold that ground.
Okay.
Look sharp, fellas. Once we capture that point, be ready for any counterattack. Listen up. We've got orders. You name it, we'll capture. No location secured. All quiet.
We have riflemen taking the field.
Boys away. On our way, sir. One out. Moving to secure position.
Yeah, I'm definitely playing first time on this map.
That's us, boys. Get your gear ready. They want that area secured. Make it quick.
It's pretty fucked if you don't like rush the buildings early at Brits. It's fucking
Come on, boys.
brutal.
Capture orders,
We're locked and
let's
loaded. Ha! Area's ours.
Need some recon? Moving to capture and hold that area. They want that area secured. Make it quick.
On your feet. Let's go.
We're all here. Taking crowd fire!
You men, come on. Let's get this show on the road.
Be ready! What's the mission? The hell you waiting?
I wonder if they'll let us keep the old announcer.
Let's do this!
What, you want to?
I hope so.
Ready, move your asses! Why? Pouring on them! Get her done! That means you, Tippy!
That's a go, boys. All right, pay attention.
Hey, tiptoe! Listen up!
Relay orders. Point cover. Hold it moving. Jump. Move your ass. Get on with it.
Out here!
Rifleman squad deployed.
Keep that formation tight. All right, men. Stand by.
Move back!
All right, boys. Advance.
Commander, we've lost the sector.
Weapons support center. Get on with it. Double time, soldiers. All in, squad.
The enemy is stealing our munitions point.
Gotta take him down fast. Ready for deployment, sir. Jump to it, boys. You like that? Hell, their infantry ready. God damn it, rifles, ready orders. Move, leave him.
That's a fucking voice line for shooting the half track with the sniper.
Get on that.
Wait, what is
That's
it?
funny.
Lost
I've
control
never
of
heard
the
that.
sector.
Listen up.
Infantry support upgrades are en route.
Jesus H. Christ. Jump to it, up to it. Secure that position. On with. Let's go, boys.
Can you hear me now?
All right, men.
Yes, sir.
Pull back, guys.
Oh no, my sniper.
Over here. What?
Oh my god, these guys are being sweaty.
Come on, move your ass. Ready for deployment, sir.
A victory point is under attack. We must act.
And hold it. Let's go, boys. All right, in you go. Crowd infantry. Move your ass.
Victory point now under enemy control.
Move, move, move.
Infantry support research completed.
They really like. I feel like the size of the 44 maps are like
We have
too
orders
fucking
ready for
big.
orders.
It's like one retreat and it's like 30 minutes of fucking waiting.
Yeah.
Use them.
No,
Ridiculous.
it's a stealth blobber.
Enemy activity near our munitions point.
Oh, no way he kills that, right?
Captain here. Initiate a flanking attack.
Fuck me.
Engage on sight. Watch
What?
Boys away. Take a leg. Kill anything that looks German. Eager to lead the men.
Sector lost. No con.
The drill.
Reports of enemy movement near our victory point.
Wait, there is no plus 10 fuel point, right?
Locked and loaded.
No.
You're up, boys.
Or I am blind.
Come on. All right, boys.
I don't think so.
Stay alert. Orders come. Enemy infantry.
The
It
enemy
is, I'm just
has
holding him up, but I'm gonna get one over soon.
On my way back.
defend our victory point. We're losing it.
Need a truck soon.
I have an M3 in production. Can you
We
roll it up?
captured a victory point.
Okay, guys, I OP'd both fuels. You can rush tier 4s.
No.
That's us, fellas. Locked and loaded.
Look sharp, fellas.
Enemy forces are converging on a fuel
Nasıl
point.
komedi?
Territory. Sausage side.
Indirect. Advance to contact. Be ready. It's getting a bit too quiet. Let's move out. Order.
Sector gone. We must take it back.
Spare mags and grenades.
A munitions point is being attacked.
Fellas, I don't like it either. But we've got to try. Oh, Germany's this way. Get on it, fellas. We're up, boys. Round up the men. Now let's get to it. Eager to lead the men to battle. Move in and set up.
M3 hep. Territory lost.
The recon run reveals the stealth guys, right?
Yeah.
Probably upgrade.
The sector's been overrun. It's theirs now.
Oh, you mean the air battle group 1?
All rifleman squads are being upgraded with BARs, Commander.
Are you going GMC? Where's best?
No, I have this.
Oh, okay. I'll get GMC then.
Just got ATG up.
Sending our frontline forces some much-needed firepower.
Okay, I think my sniper sights are not less than. Oh, that's not gonna happen,
Strategic
dude.
point is under attack.
I'm gonna satchel that building.
We've lost the territory sector.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start smashing these fucking structures with the bazookas. With the-
One of our munitions points is being neutralized.
Let's advance. Relay orders. Combat patrol.
Enemy movement near victory point.
This.
The boys will have grenades soon. A victory point has fallen into enemy control. One of our sectors is now in enemy hands.
Incoming. Direct fire crew ready for the go. Infantry around here.
We can distribute grenades to the front line, men.
Rifles losing integrity. They're too soon.
A fuel point is being seized by the enemy. Territory. HMG team deploying.
He's dead. On cover inside. Go, go, go. Find cover. Gun carriage. Got a
Lol, fucking grenades doing nothing.
Get outside. Keep blasting. Captain here. Make a move.
Oh, dude, I lost fucking everything, man.
Er,
Ow.
Crazy. easy.
Krauts are securing our capture point.
Time to earn your living. Private, where's your helmet? Gotta receive promotion.
Yeah, sniper's horrific in this game. It just takes too long.
Territory sector claimed by the
I
enemy.
never cheated once. I lost them for like 5 minutes.
Target mark. You're going nowhere.
They pushed us off a
Oh,
sector.
whatever.
One of our munitions points is being neutralized.
Get outside, keep
Reports of enemy movement near our victory point.
find steady ground. Nail that plate in. Rifle squad. Jerry's got a nice little nest egg here. Get in. Let's take it down.
They've taken our victory point.
Where'd you need a 30? Keep moving out front. Back it up. Move it. Clear me out of here. Get on that point.
You want muni?
You go. Oh yeah, you did go.
Damn it!
Yeah, if you want muni, you can take it.
Claimed by the enemy.
I'm good. Jeez.
We have M29 Weasels ready to deploy.
Break it down. Gotta move.
Deploying engineers now.
Haul ass. Get in. M3 tank destroyer. Rev that engine, boys.
Do you have an engine up here?
Nope.
Bring one up.
Nice little nest egg here. Let's take it.
I'm waiting on my Sherman, so I'm looking right now.
Let's tackle
I think we've pretty much pushed them off completely right now. I don't think there's much they can do.
Fresh mags in. We got capture orders. Come on. We ain't got all day. Let's move out. Where'd you need a 30 cal? We're up. Let's advance. Let's get it done, boys.
They pivoted to middle.
To lead the men to battle.
Yeah.
Sam needs volunteers. Earn your living, soldiers. You men, get ready.
Enemy movement near victory point.
Points ours. Let's get it done, boys.
MG, waiting on you. We've been told where we're needed. Set the gun up here.
Might have to just get in the retreat path, honestly.
Victory
Just kill
point is under
everything.
enemy control now.
Keep that formation tight.
Maybe no.
You, sir. Break out the repair kit. We got Jerry.
Rifles reinforced.
That's up. Dark patrol. Ready for deployment, sir. Shake a leg. LMG up front. Square your king.
The enemy is stealing our munitions point.
Squad bar. Ready. LMG, stand out. Rifles, get those
Fuck, wait.
right, fire and go. Keep that bar going.
Commander, we should spend our munitions.
Watch the space. Let's check. Taking losses. And moving. What? Rounding. Gun carry. Under fire. Small arms. Go. Go. Man down. Gun over. Right then. Oh, goddammit. To it, boys. Prepare for move. Move. Wait a second. Gun stop.
What kind of hard to work
Take a
with all
leg.
this
LMG.
noise?
All in, squad. God damn it, rifles. Get those asses.
That should get you back in the war.
P-47 strafing. A victory point is under attack. We must act.
Little more.
Holy blob.
Shit.
Half-track is defend our victory point. We're losing it.
Keep that formation tight.
Everything is cloaked.
Yeah, and I can't maintain the fucking recon.
Enemy movement near victory point. P-47 ready to ruin Jerry's day. The victory point is
Oh
falling
my
under
god.
control. If they move, you'll know. Contact! Capture point is being overrun. They pushed us off a sector.
Through the lines! Engage on
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and rush as many CPs as I can for the fucking
Flares will light up the battlefield at your command.
bombard or the air thing.
Stand by. Check the location.
All purpose lines. There to go, boys! Oh, goddammit! Take an HMG fire!
Oh my god. There's so much.
Another machine gun. I'm gonna go whiz bang when I can.
Yeah, that's smart.
You men, get ready. MG, waiting on you. Okay, outside.
I'm getting a mortar pit too.
Reports of enemy movement near our victory point.
Say the word. Private, boys, fresh move. What do you need? Let's move out.
The victory point is under enemy control now.
Follow me. Here we go.
Commander,
I'm kind of surprised they still haven't nerfed that fucking burn ability.
we've lost the
It should not
territory
not.
sector.
Oh my.
Just get what you can. So much for peace and quiet.
Ready? Jump ahead.
Hold back, guys. Take it slow.
This is recon operations. Follow my lead.
Right down. Hold up. Order. Confirm.
Gonna overwhelm us.
SSF commandos are available to deploy, Commander.
Ready to advance to contact. We're advancing. Get ready.
P-47 awaiting a target.
Holy crap.
Yeah, dude. Oh shit.
Aye.
Yeah, bye bye. That's fucking gone.
We lost the weapon crew.
Okay,
All
awesome.
dead.
Eyes on me. Orders coming down the chain.
Just gonna hide in the garrisons basically.
What's our target? Two boys are here. Ready up.
Ready for deployment, sir.
Combat patrol boys.
Let's get
The sector's been overrun. It's theirs now. Enemy has 300 points remaining.
I got his
A
AT gun.
victory point is under attack. We must act.
Why? Left. Keep your heads down. Jump to it, boys. Get it going. Fire. Come, boys. Shit, move it.
Enemy contact.
Fire it, man. Keep that bar going. Hold on.
Planes.
Rifles losing integrity.
Enemy activity
That's
near our
fucking just
munitions
pushing.
point.
Under the AT gun. AT gun. We've done it. The enemy has been defeated.
Nice.
I mean, the 24/7 recon kind of seems to slow it down a little bit. Because they don't get to trigger the proc all the time.
Yeah.
Two AAs can shut it down pretty fast.
Yeah, this is you need it for a second or it just cancels the fucking
The
camo.
bonus, yeah. The ambush bonus is pretty rough.
Terror tractor. What the fuck?
What's our target? We've got orders to advance.
You have to veto some maps.
I have did some.
Scouts, lead the way. Once we capture that point,
How the fuck all the maps we played today are new to me?
I mean, this one seems less toxic than the other one. Actually, this one seems like a smaller map, so maybe this one's actually not total dope shit. Actually, who am I kidding? It's a 4v4 map. First, it's gonna be bad.
we got somewhere to be. Get over that wall. Hurry. Listen up. We've got orders.
Riflemen are ready.
Recon
Word, sir. Fresh mag. We got capture orders.
I don't think this map is great for Rangers.
No, you're just gonna get suppressed. We're gonna need bishops and a lot of.
Route 2 challenge. They want that area secure.
Oh, it's just Napoleon of the bishops. We're gonna do like a lot of already though, for sure.
That's us.
Especially because VP there, and there. Look at this, yeah. Oh, this is gonna be horrific. This is like a fucking D-Day battle. We're just gonna have to wait like 30 minutes to get any progress. Oh, fuck me.
We'll
Okay.
capture it.
We're up. On your feet. Let's go.
Oh yeah, the coastals.
Look sharp, fellas. We're up. Let's go. No lagging behind. Spread out. Cover your sector.
Boys are waiting. What do you need? Double time, soldiers.
We're ready to squad.
You men,
Into
get
cover.
ready. Return fire.
Defend our victory point. We're losing it.
Enemy contact.
Let's go, boys.
Guys here.
Keep that formation.
Oh my god, Napoleon just conceded the plus 10. Okay, I'm coming over to support you.
Victory point is under enemy control now.
Get this show on the road.
It's so easy to end up with no fuel on this map.
Yeah, just realize like we have to fight this shit. We have to push. There's no. We're coming over with you, dude.
Hunt that infantry down.
Loaded and ready.
Come on, let them have it. God damn it, rifles, shift those asses.
Orders
The
coming.
boys will have grenades soon.
Stay low. Get it done. Relay orders. Shake it up. Let's get it done. That's a go. Enemy point needs to be neutralized. Move. Watch your flanks. Move your ass, squad.
Down the head. Make it a smoke screen. No route 2 challenge.
Relay orders. Come on, move your asses.
Grenades are making their way to frontline forces.
Let's go.
Oh, I didn't fucking suppress.
Take down that flag. Oh, God damn it. Son of a bitch. That's a go, boys. God damn it, rifles, shift those asses. Get on with it. Moving. Let's go, boys. Relay orders. Think they know we're here. Enemy point needs to be neutralized. What? Now they're infantry. Rifles losing integrity. Keep your heads down. All right, men. Stand by. Cover him. Relax. Let's feel promotions. That's a move, move, move! All in, squad! Capture that area! Get on! Concentrate on your own goddamn target! You know the drill, soldiers! Let's make them holler! Move! Watch your flank!
Enemy movement near victory point.
For movement! Medic! I need a medic! Let's drill, boys! Promotions just came Come on, move your asses!
The victory point has fallen into enemy control.
So much for peace and quiet! All in, squad! Get on that point! Or hold back, goddaggit! Move!
Nothing else to.
Medical station requested.
We have M29 Weasels ready to deploy. Commander, it's done.
Those weapons! Orders come! Break it down! Make ready and move!
Infantry support upgrades are en route.
Double time, soldiers! Let's move out! Well, come on, let's get this show on the road! Orders just came down. Get there fast! You got it, buddy. Break it down and move up. Weapon. Hold
They've pushed us off a sector.
Careful.
Ready for deployment, boys? Fresh boots.
We're all here, sir.
Say the word. On our way, sir. What do you need? On your feet. Let's go.
We're losing a fuel point.
Oh yeah, they're starting the fucking MG wall. Oh no, the bug fucking.
I'll go HE mortar or bunker buster. I think that'll take.
I got a GMCT. I'm gonna try to satchel those fucking things. Actually, I can smoke drop it. Hold on. Oh,
Deployment, sir.
Commander, we've lost a sec.
Loaded and ready.
Reports of enemy movement near our victory point.
No route too challenging.
Come on. You ain't got all day.
They've taken our victory point.
Guys, I'm on the flank if you want to push.
Contact. Capture.
yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Players will light up the
Oh, there is a
battlefield at
scram.
your
Fuck.
command.
I'll give you guys flares.
Was-
Should be able to win that.
Yeah, that's fine.
The sector's been overrun. It's theirs now.
Oh, that's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a lot of guys. I'm coming. I'm a little far behind though.
Just actually, I'll smoke from. Oh god.
Word, sir. All right, boys.
Dude, it's Rangers, they don't die that easily.
So there's like 7 squads.
Nice artillery.
Capture and hold that
Ready for
area.
the... Come on. We ain't got all
Browning automatic rifles have arrived.
loaded. Let's advance. You men, get ready.
We've lost control of a sector.
On our way, sir.
Put it in. Come on, boys. Capture orders just came in.
There's so many of them. Holy fuck.
Show on the road. Let's move out.
Reference that grid point. We need to secure and hold it.
Sector gone. We must take it back.
Motion's in. God damn it, run over. Shit those asses. Keep their ass. They got to advance. Engage on sight. Relay orders. Watch your flanks. Go, boys. Close the distance. Move. Keep that bomb going. Left clip. Move, move, move. Throw a sticky bomb. Head down. Hey, head back. Somewhere to be. Fall back. Follow me. Here we go. I'm heading back. You're saying hi, boys. Grenade. Move. Gotta be charging time. North side. Engage all targets. Gas all resistance. East side.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Giga blob.
Move out.
Acknowledged. Recon is
MG.
standing by.
I've got the two. Move out. They're calling us in, fellas. They're counting on us.
Yeah, they got like this fucking giga wall of fucking shit everywhere.
HMG.
Like, it's impossible to try and finish them off on this fucking I was just gonna get rough.
Where we're needed. Let's go. Plug any crowds you see. Finally, a little firepower. Double
A
time.
victory
soldiers.
point is under attack. We must act.
Look, boys.
Damn it! Territory sector claimed by the enemy.
Weapon group.
They've captured a victory point.
No route too challenging.
Let's move like we got a purpose. Come all this way to bitch.
M3 half track.
What? No way, this lucky cocksucker. Oh, dude, you're kidding. Alright, I'm getting cooked.
Get up there, move it!
Enemy forces are converging on a fuel point.
Pack those weapons. Break it down. Make ready and move.
Our target.
You have 3 command points available.
Break it down and move up. Stand fast. Get ready to kick some ass, boys. Get set to redeploy. Got the word, gentlemen. Smoke for us. You name it. Head out.
Looks like we got a
Let's go.
mission.
Shake a leg. LMG up front. We're up, boys. Keep that formation tight.
Wait, why doesn't Napoleon only have 2 units?
All batteries, fire!
Headed into crowd territory.
That's tier 4.
We're locked and loaded. We're advanced.
Oh, fuck.
Oh no. Oh, I thought we killed that bunker. Shit,
We
I didn't
did.
even see it.
They rebuilt it. Oh, dude. I'm dropping smoke on it. Oh my goodness, that doesn't even have CA applied right now, that's crazy.
No! Oh my god. Unga bunga.
It's just walls of shit. How the fuck am I trying to
Rip, dude.
Okay, I'm gonna start getting fucking mortar pits.
The enemy have taken territory from us.
I'm just gonna build more machine guns.
The hunt is on, boys.
We just don't have any fuel income right now, so
Nope.
that's
All the fuel's in the middle of the map.
it. Oh yeah, you're just covered by a fucking wall. What is this?
Bunga.
Dexter, I'm gonna come to you. We got a breakthrough. Like this is that one.
Oh, that was a nice name.
Ready to kick some ass, boys? Let's go find us some crowds. Stand around all day. Kill anything that looks German.
HMG team deploying.
Every battle tells a story.
So true.
Where to, sir? Let's move out. Heading to new coordinates.
Acknowledged. Recon is standing by.
Make it quick and make it loud.
Yeah, there's only 1 +5 on this map. Holy shit. Like, on our side. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's the fuels in the middle.
Quick, huh?
This-
It's rough.
Sight.
What was Bacon thinking? It's all open ground too, there's no fucking cover. That's the brutal part.
SSF commandos.
Alright, Dexter, are you ready to push?
No,
Okay,
no,
wait, hold on.
wait.
Hold on, I'll drop you immunity so you can get even more weapon drop.
Bags and grenades. Let's go then. Captain,
I'll just feed you immunity so you can spam the fucking air. Ooga booga run.
on my mark. Make it loud. I want concealing.
Enemy movement near victory point.
Let's go find us some crowds. Uncle Sam needs volunteers. Come on. Make it happen.
Victory point now under enemy control.
Oh, bro, fucking fence.
Wait, kid. Make sure that light got it on our way, sir. Come on. You ain't got all day.
Territory is falling into enemy hands.
Alright, Dexter, we gotta go. Like, we're running out of time.
Rifleman squad deployed. Sector lost. No contact.
Good effect on target. Guns ready. Hold in and moving.
Be advised. Air resupply operations are available.
Coming into contact. Our orders are. Looks like Brass wants us to take that crowd zone.
You men, get ready. Double time, soldiers. MG, stay low, goddammit! Engage on sight. My coverage, you want. Relay orders.
No, he's got another bunker.
Head down.
No. Ah!
Lead the way.
Oh shit, the rebels are here. Uh-oh.
Bro, shoot at them.
Bros. Yeah, it's just MGs, and that's whoever has the better forward retrieve wins, I think. Because this is like... I needed mortars earlier, I think, but holy shit, there's a lot of MGs just covering each other.
Munitions point. point. Enemy
Oh
contact.
no, we're getting flanked.
We're eating dirt over here.
Why am I the only one over here?
The enemy holds all victory
That's
points.
It's
Napoleon.
the only
Napoleon's
plus 10 on the map.
I was supporting, but I was trying to fucking try and break through on this side because fucking give him no resources.
He has 3 guards. We are cooked.
Back to full strength. Preparing for armor production. Getting it done. We're locked and loaded. Take a
The
look.
enemy is winning this fight.
Boys, fresh boots.
Yeah, I think the problem is the
An entire
Keep playing, guys. Keep playing. Just no, dude, no.
Get them on their high. Support
well, yes, I like.
drop confirmed. Heading over the drop zone. Bingo fuel in.
I like.
Back to base.
What?
Well, yeah, the game's over.
No. Dude, like, are you fucking serious?
Look at the fucking map. Look.
I don't fucking care, man. Just fucking play.
Look at how fucked you are.
We needed to get the plus 10.
Dude, we have 300 VPs. I have Rangers. I'm gonna build the third howitzer. We're gonna push them back. Like,
You had nothing.
I was just getting
Oh,
run
no.
over, man. I was
The
playing against
moment
2
where
players
they
all
get
time.
the Giga Dak bunker up, it's really brutal.
It's just because there's no fuel on the map besides the middle ones. Like, if you get pushed off the middle, it's basically cooked.
Yeah, and one retreat is over. Because then they're gonna throw up the bunkers and it's just fucked. Like, we killed one, it didn't matter. Oh wait, hold on, let me... Oh, wait, that's already a fucking kill game.
Stop on command, boils. Come on. What's hacking up, lads? We're moving. Digging oil engine. We're not fucking mitching, David. We're taking that position. Sap, little stroll into Jerry's line. Nothing to worry about. Sappers, eyes open, guns up. We're taking that position. Sappers, we're taking that position. Section command's done. Not had orders in yachts.
Heavy machine gun and crew are ready for orders.
Position's ours. Spark up oil in time. Sappers, receiving orders. What's the task? That capture point needs to be ours, right? Sappers on site. What do you need round needs taken, boys?
Heavy machine gun has been deployed for you.
Royal Engineers, ready. Sappers on site. Slow that vehicle, Jerry's is ours.
Jag bakar bröd till jobb.
Blow it up now. Royal Engineers,
Everybody needs cover. Take cover! Under enemy fire, yeah?
MG here, say the word. Cover in this arc.
Sappers, we're ready. Hold the position. Cavalry can't be too far off. Yeah, we've stopped. Move. Rounds are coming closer. Under fire.
MG here.
An infantry section is present and accounted for.
Sappers, we're moving.
Aye, we're ready. Pushing on with the attack. Shoot some twats, capture that, Bob's your uncle, war's over. Grab that gear, and no guff. Shifting
Sappers,
position.
we've got orders to move, so move. Oh, we're needed elsewhere, lads.
We're rearing to... On your feet.
Sappers, like a shit through a
Orders,
goose.
jump to it, set
Move.
up here. Ready to belt.
We're taking that position. What's the
Enemy ground forces have claimed a sector.
Drop that spando.
Orders, sir. Sappers ready. Bugger me. They opened fire on us.
Ready for trouble.
Apparently it's better over there. We're under fire. Why cover you, dots?
Reloaders! Public bastards!
Fire on them. Close in. Sappers getting swift up here. Orders, let's move it.
Dude, the water's like firing at me and it's doing nothing. Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Victory point is in enemy hands.
We'll gun the buggers down! All of them!
We're taking that point! Come on!
Awaiting instructions, sir.
Engage on
You
sight!
taking the piss!
Ready for action! Open up! Order! At your own pace!
A new battle group ability is yours to use.
On it. Starting.
We're ready. Moving MG. Let's go looking for trouble, shall we?
Mission taken.
Come on, lads. There's work to be done. Vickers, relocate. Bring up
The enemy has claimed a sector.
infantry attacking.
Uh-oh.
An AT
Yikes.
I forgot.
enemy action.
Wrong mortar.
You know what?
I don't have 30% DR like you do.
Yeah, sorry, you're not using the superior American HMG. Sorry, it's a skill issue, I think. Fuck, you got in before I did. It's fucking hilarious how the MG's like just ignoring the fucking water. Oh, the insta turn bug is so lame. Ugh. Crap. I'm getting a GMCT, so you have to get the heal.
Royal Engineers on the field and ready for your orders.
Get it antsy. Let's get those orders. I don't like it when engineers.
Wait, you can't captain sprint the MGs?
No.
Relic. Come on. How else am I supposed to have purpose sprinting MGs?
Heading out.
It's okay, MGs get sprint next patch.
That's gonna be
And
fucking funny.
five men.
And superior
And
penetration.
penetration, yeah.
Yeah. Can always count on Relic to count the, to deal with the big problems of the game. It's gonna be real fun.
Advancing to attack.
CMP truck deploying to
I do wonder if it'll beat an 8-round head-on with the kill. That would be fucking hilarious. I know in Relic they probably didn't test its penetration. And they probably just demolishes 2-2-1s and stumbles.
is being overrun.
Sappers reporting. Roger that. Keep backing up, lads. We're moving.
The beggars are threatening a victory point.
What's the task? We found Jerry. He's not too pleased. Watch your arse. Move.
Victory point under enemy control.
Oh no!
On me, lads.
Apparently it's better over there. Move.
Losing a fuel point.
The cheat plus the damage reduction from the 50 cal instantly just ignore the grenade. Oh, it's fucking funny.
Territory lost. The beggars are threatening a fuel point.
trucks here.
Yep.
The enemy has pushed us back from our sector.
Keep fighting! Get through it!
We are losing a victory point to enemy action. Victory point lost. The enemy has control.
You repair my half truck.
We're losing a fuel point to enemy action. Our opponent is in control of all victory points. The enemy have taken our territory.
That's Bryn.
Oh shit.
Damn
Get back, it's not close. It's all
enemy
good.
hands. Anti-tank weapon and crew on the field.
Your section's been fucked up.
There's this,
A sector is in enemy control.
Yeah.
Also, there's a mortar there we could kill. Actually, I might try to steal it.
He has a pack nearby, just be careful of that. Yeah, there it is. Ooh. Oh, fuck.
We have a surplus of command points, Commander.
I mean, if we all land that guy, probably just crumble him.
Cover his position!
Yeah, because the other guy's completely out of position. Yeah, let's just fucking send it.
Cooked.
Sector lost. Repeat, sector lost.
Bishop.
The boss held all victory points. Act now. The Bosch are pushing hard. We're down to 250 points.
Yeah, they're folding pretty hard.
What you got for keeping up the pressure? Ready to fight. No rest for wicked.
Whoa, Vickers gets a massive arc at that 3.
Yep.
Holy
It's
crap.
fucking, it's completely busted. I noticed that playing a 1v1 today. I think it might be legit, like, that bat 3 might be better than having a 30 cal, but it's a hard plus side. Even with the vet 1 on, you still have that mark. That's fucking crazy. That's
a West point.
Pain train is about to start then. I have tier 4 up. Mirror shot of Sherman.
We've lost contact with our sappers.
No, what?
Territory sector lost, Commander. Report. One of our anti-tank guns is gone.
Your scout.
We're losing a victory point. Anti-tank crews are on standby for orders.
You Mace, you are trolling me so hard, man.
Victory point belongs to the enemy.
These stumbles are kind of annoying when you can't actually fucking hunt them.
Yeah. I need another GMC.
Maybe. The Sherman will just fucking run at them.
We've lost
I can just kill them.
the enemy.
Oh no, double West. It's all ogre.
They have the vet 1 already too, right? Yeah. It's gonna be the wombo combo tracking. Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, we're in deep shit now.
We're cooked. Do you have any tanks
on,
coming
I'll
out
wait.
soon? They have no AT.
Yeah, it's in production. I'm cooking up a lick. I'll see if I can.
A fuel point is being overrun.
This is pretty brutal.
Losing a victory point to enemy action.
My god, I have infinite HP on my fucking 30 cows.
Victory point lost. The enemy has control.
Alright, Sherman's Gaboo game.
Heavy machine gun crew killed. Commander, enemy forces.
Feels like they have permanent vision.
Yeah.
Getting somewhere.
One. Maybe again. It shouldn't. No, there's no way it's a killing because I've fucking spammed like recon like 30 times. Oh my fucking shit. Okay. Oh.
Oil engineers trained and ready to go.
Oh yeah, that's like 3 of them now.
We're losing a fuel point. Sector overrun. The enemy has it.
Alright. Oh, what? It lived! Are you kidding me?
We have munitions ready to be used, Commander.
Dog shit game. Fuck off. Oh, I got my fucking engine. Wait, my fucking thing died on mine. Oh no. Oh, dude. Such a fucking kick in the balls.
Seem to get tier 4 out.
Yeah, this is just fucking. We need to keep attacking, I think. Oh.
Grab that HMG. Very handy, is it? Oil end, stow that gear, boys.
It's capturing. We'll need support.
The ability is ready now. We can now build forward assemblies.
to help keep our vehicles in the field.
Fingers on triggers. We're at the other side.
Okay, killed one of the stumbles.
Advancing to attack. What you got for us? Red new block settling in now. In place.
Did your Sherman die? Oh shit.
Yeah, dude, it hit a mine and they got pack walled. Feels good, man.
Dude, they have permanent vision. Like, I don't know how they can see us constantly. Oh,
It's
they got
it's the mortar. It's
Yeah,
spamming the fucking
mortar.
flare. Yeah. Oh my god, that's so cancer.
Victory point.
I see why they don't think 30 kills are a problem, because fucking in this game mode you can just spam west to instantly shut it down.
Run. Victory point.
Alright, this time I got one of the last.
Sector lost. Repeat. Sector lost.
Barrage that church. Cheers, Paris. Paris.
Yeah. Yeah, I got another. I'm gonna get a doser actually.
We're losing a fuel point to enemy action. The beggars are threatening a victory point.
There's so much already fucking constantly. Holy fuck.
Churchill infantry support tank tracked and ready.
Who's getting hit by like 3 artillery pieces?
Yeah, I've killed one of the west, but they just fucking build another one immediately. Like, what the fuck?
A victory point is being overrun. Victory point under enemy control.
Orders. New chaps are lined out ready. Keeping up the pressure. Ready to fight. Fire! Engine CC ready. Grab your tackle. Job to do.
It's gonna get rough.
Down. Listen up. Ready for trouble. Pushing on with the attack. Move on that capture point. Series facing off. That's fine. Let's take the fucking rights.
An HMG crew has been lost to enemy action. We have
This
munitions
fucking
ready to be
endless.
used, Commander.
Jesus.
We're losing a victory point.
Oh fuck, that's a
And
panther.
Churchill's almost up here.
Victory point is in enemy hands. The enemy has our victory. Recon reporting. Enemy ground forces have claimed.
Oh my god, there's another one.
Buckle up, gents. We're down to 100 points.
Okay, I killed another west. Thank god. We're killing them off one by one.
Our anti-tank gun crew has been
Just
killed.
can't keep any team weapons alive.
Yeah, it's brutal.
We're losing a victory point to enemy action.
Just the fucking, just the double wesp, dude.
Victory point is in
Pure pain, man.
I don't even think I can do anything with a 17-pounder here.
No, you'll just get west immediately by the
Die.
tracking on you.
Maybe
Well,
I
I've
need to go
killed off
Crusader.
2 of them. I mean, they have to be running out of resources. Keep remaking them early.
Jerry has 300 points remaining.
Oh yeah, that fucking just again. Okay, they keep hitting mines at least. There's that.
Ready to go. A victory point is being overrun.
Oh,
Yeah, I couldn't protect my churcher with the AT gun. Oh, nice zeroing artillery, dude.
Crusader cruiser finished.
Fuck.
The beggars are threatening a fuel point. We're losing a victory point. Things are going pear-shaped here! Victory point lost. The enemy has control. 75 points remaining for us.
Can't get in to defend it.
Yeah, it's just too much artillery.
It's perma vision.
The beggars are threatening a munitions point. All victory points are under enemy control. We must counterattack.
Oh, fucking hell. Okay.
Job done. Heading home. Royal Engineers on the field and ready for your orders.
It's just the wasps. I think everything else we
Yeah.
can deal with, but it's just the wasps.
Yeah.
Only 50 points left.
I probably should have gone 2-4 instead of going bishop.
Pontiac Wacky is in your airspace.
Or I think if you go bishop, you have to commit to like 2 or 3. And just pull off from Black Prince.
We don't do anything with the... Like... We couldn't kill the Wesps, and the Wesps are way more oppressive than the Bishops. It's not like they had a lot of team weapons. The things that were causing us trouble were the Stummels and the Wesps.
Oh wait, this guy's tryhard? That's fine.
Alright.
Isn't the Relic stream starting now?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna head off then. While I watch this. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Joe.
When you're fighting with the tanks, then you have access to that. You'll start with a whole bunch more vehicles than before and like less infantry. So fighting with a tank versus fighting with an infantry, it's going to be a very different experience on that battlefield because the access to the units is different. We also added a few more like kind of like custom units in there, like the combat engineers and that kind of stuff. We added a couple more additions to the squads as well to really make them feel more distinct in those battles.
Very cool. So even if I don't have the Fire and Steel DLC, I can still play with the Pershing and the Croc if I'm playing the campaign.
Exactly. It's like first hit's free. You know, try it out if you like it. Yeah, maybe don't. Whatever.
Yeah.
Try it out. It's free. That's for you.
Very cool. So what about movement? I know when we were talking before this, you mentioned something about wanting just the feel of movement to be better for the player.
Yeah. So that's the fundamental action that you're taking every turn is you're moving these units, right? And so if that doesn't feel good, the whole experience is not going to feel very good, right? So we noticed that like it just like after you click the button, it just like takes a long time for the unit to get there. And also the more like twists and turns, like the units kind of took a while, you know, like because we have this like realistic physics systems, right? And like that's how it works in skirmish, which, you know, is great for skirmish because you're doing a lot of other things, right? So it's fine for the units to move slower and move really realistically. But on this campaign map, since you're just waiting for that single unit to move, like it needed to feel really snappy and responsive.
Right.
So we tightened up the timing and the movement for those units, as well as some of the animations, where it was like you would click to like attack a territory, and like you'd see the attack go, and then like there wouldn't be any action. You'd kind of just
like wait a beat for
yeah,
finish,
and it was like it was a couple seconds, right? And so you're just like, is it doing anything? And then it'd be like territory captured, and you're like, oh, like okay, I guess it worked, right? But like there's that like little disconnect and like doubt every time you know try to attack a territory of like, is this actually working? So we tightened up the animations and the timing there, so it's like you attack the thing, the enemy runs out, and then you get it, right? So it feels a lot more responsive and a lot more the way you would expect it to, basically.
Okay, awesome. What about sort of player feedback in terms of like UI and UX? I know there's some adjustments there for you know, communicating information to the player.
Yeah. So, and we kind of looked at like a lot of things within the gameplay. Like we just, you know, put more hours into it and find like, oh yeah, like I've been playing this thing for 40 hours and like this part is like really annoying me, right? So things like, you know, you had to move every single unit when you hit end turn, or the end turn thing would be like, hey, you didn't like move every single unit, but because it's a tactical map, you don't want to, you know, move every unit every turn, right? So like units where you have like a hold position on them, or if it's like it's garrisoned and you're trying to heal it, it won't bother you about those units. And like the flow for that is kind of tough too, because you actually have to like hit end turn like twice. It'll be like, it'll tell you about a unit, and then if you don't immediately hit end turn again, then it just like pops up that message again, right? So like that message was kind of like a little bit too in your face. So we've kind of like streamlined that flow, so you're not going to be seeing that as often, unless it is like a really critical thing, because we do in general want you to move all your units, or you opted out to like, I don't want to move this unit, right?
Okay.
And then also like, you know, some smaller things like the end turn hotkey, it was like control and spacebar, which was like a little, it's like, well, why is it that? So it's like, let's just make it spacebar, right? So it's just like easier to, you know, like, because there's quite a few turns that are happening in this, right? It's going to take you 50 plus turns to beat the whole thing. So like, since you're doing that action constantly, we want it to be easy and smooth for players.
Yeah. I know we also changed the hospital sort of healing aura, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's the UI was like these little tiny like red dots. And if there was a mountain anywhere, which, spoiler, we're in Italy, there might be some Alps around, right? So quite a few times it was like really difficult to notice, like, am I in the healing aura or not? So we wanted to be that to be really easy to understand and interface with. So now there's like a very clear like circle. So you know, like, oh, I'm in the aura or I'm not in the aura. And this is more important now as well, because we made it that if a unit is in that aura at the end of the turn, it'll just get some healing automatically. So there's not as much like manually, you know, like having to use your own healing abilities. So it made it like feel a bit unique from the way that the other healing kind of works.
Okay. So I know we touched on some of the changes to the campaign companies in terms of like their roles and some of the abilities that they have. Do we maybe want to dig into that a little bit deeper with some of the specifics for each company, or I know something changed with the loot ability?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, because I wanted to cover it before, but, you know, there was just, like, a lot of topics I was kind of going all over the place with. So there were a number of abilities that were, like, fairly low impact. So it's like you didn't really use them that much. You might not notice they were there. They didn't change the way, you know, you would interface with the game or play.
Yeah.
And because of that, the units felt more, you know, homogenous and similar, because they had a bunch of abilities that didn't really do that much, right? So with the loot ability, we found in general, that wasn't like a super high impact ability. And so we basically completely redesigned that one. And because we took the healing off the tanks, we kind of had this idea that, well, each unit could gain access to healing in a different way to make them feel more distinct, right? So the loot ability will now heal your tanks if you take a territory from the enemy. And it's a pretty chunky heal. It's like 40% of your health.
Okay.
So that means there's some different strategic considerations when you're attacking territories. So it's like, well, if my tank's not damaged, maybe I want to try to like fight something and take some damage and then attack that place. And also with your ordering, you know, if there's a couple shields on that space, right, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to send in the Marines, they're going to take out the shields, and then the tank can get in there and use the loot ability and be able to heal itself.
Right.
So there's more, you know, kind of like strategic considerations
Gotcha.
with that loot ability versus just like a kind of a passive thing that just kind of happened every turn, and sometimes it mattered, but a lot of times it didn't.
Yeah, I know we were also talking about some of the special abilities for some of the individual companies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we want to cover some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we wanted the healing to feel unique on the companies, and we also wanted the movement to feel a bit unique. So let me just jump back and tie a bow on the healing thing.
Sure.
So for the Indian artillery, since we took the heal off that one, we added a new. So this one's it's accessed a little bit different. You do need to like spend skill points to unlock it, but it's the first thing that Indian artillery can get, and they have a thing that'll heal them if they didn't attack that turn, which is, you know, sort of the theme and fantasy of that one is like it's kind of, you know, it's bombarding, it's standing more in the back line, so it's not going to be like up there taking hits as often. So that's sort of like a unique feel for that one, and it also, you know, you're kind of like go, always like pushing forward in this. So it's also just sort of try to like change up the pacing a little bit of like, oh, maybe I actually, you know, want to take a turn to hold back and like heal up my forces instead of just constantly pushing forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Healing, good. Thumbs up. So the rest of the abilities, there are many. So each unit kind of like got like an update basically. So for the air and sea unit, we gave them an ability where their mobility thing, right, is now that they can take a boat. So anytime they're on the coast, you can use this ability and click somewhere on the coast, and it'll just move them up there, and it won't even like take up their movement points or whatever.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So, you know, with your other companies and stuff, you have to like go into a port and then garrison from there. So this, anytime you're on the beach, you can just get in a boat and just like zip up there. So it gives them a very powerful mobility tool, but it's only accessible in certain areas of the map, right? So when you're building that squad, if you're planning on sending that squad to the, you know, interior of the map, like that probably isn't the best choice, right? You probably want to build one of the other 3 infantry squads, right? Mm-hmm. And so the other infantry squads, we've got for the commandos, they're sort of like thing is like rough terrain is what they're good at. And right now, rough terrain is pretty brutal, right? Like moving on a road is like 1, but then like the rough terrain is 2, 3, or 4 movement points. Mm-hmm. So like if you go very, very slow.
Yeah, it's pretty punishing.
So you basically are like always on the roads, which is cool. So then the idea of this unit is you're kind of like breaking that mold, and you can just like have them run off into the Alps or whatever, right? And they can just like zoom around. So there's some particular spots on the map where there aren't good road connections, and so sending those units to capture those territories is going to be like way faster and more effective.
Okay.
So it makes them feel quite a bit different. So we're really happy with that. Mm-hmm. And then the other infantry we have is the paratroopers. And so the paratroopers, it was like, well, to use their special ability, it's like you had to build a plane, and then you had to like garrison them in a place in an airport, and then, you know, they were able to like use the ability, right? So there were like a lot of hoops you had to go through, so you didn't get to use the ability very often, so it didn't feel like it was part of the core identity of the unit. So we basically completely redesigned that one, and now instead of being like a passive thing, it's an active. And so you can click this ability, and then you click a nearby town or, you know, whatever thing you own, you know, a fuel depot, whatever, and it'll just pop them right up to that location, and you'll see them like come down in their, you know, with their paratrooper thing.
Parachutes?
Parachute, yes, the parachute. Yeah, so we got like a nice little animation there, and so it's a nice way to like, you know, oh, there's like a mountain, so let me just like paratroop over here, right?
Right.
So that gives it like a unique feel, because you can only do it for territories you own, right? So you can't use it as, you know, like offensively per se, but it can be a nice tool to like get over and, you know, circumvent some of these like rough terrain in like a different way.
Yeah, it's like reinforce some of your territory or like stop an enemy advance or something.
Yeah, totally. So we feel like they're all playing and feeling like quite different and uniquely now, which is really cool. In addition to those, you know, like sort of core identity abilities that they each have, and some of them we didn't need to change, right? Because the artillery, it has that bombard ability. It's great, right? You can use it. It's got a nice AoE, so you can kind of like line it up to like hit multiple units, or maybe you can kill an emplacement and kill, you know, a town shield at the same time, right? Like that one's great. Does a lot of good things. But also, we wanted to make the building gameplay a bit more intriguing, like sort of offer an extra sort of path or way people could play the game.
Okay.
And supply is really tight this game in terms of like your population cap or whatever. So you can generally not field a huge number of units, right? So anything that like takes up your population cap, you're like, this is a super valuable resource, so I have to be careful to, you know, use this correctly. And because all the emplacements were using a population cap, you didn't really want to build them, because I'm going to sit this thing and it defends like a very specific area of the map, but the map's huge, right? And so then when you're going forward and taking more areas of the map, that emplacement ends up being kind of irrelevant, but it's taking up your population cap, right? So we just took off the population cap for the emplacement. So now you can just like go wild and like spam these things if you want to, right? So that was the idea of that. Was like, yeah, like, you know, just like have fun and try out some wacky new strategies and stuff like that. And so like the infantry, since they're kind of like the support unit, they're generally doing more of that like building type stuff. But yeah, it just offers like another way to play, another way to experience the game.
Okay, cool. So I know we also shortened the campaign map tutorial because I think we found it was a little bit slow. We wanted to get people into the action faster. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to say about that.
Yeah, so about like getting into the action, right? It was like the things you were doing in that like initial campaign, they didn't really persist or carry over to, you know, like the next part of the game. And at the end of it, it was like kind of like you weren't learning that much new stuff. You're kind of just doing the same thing you had already kind of learned. So we're like, you know, people like fighting skirmish battles, right? As company heroes. So how can we like get them into those battles faster, right? So that will be a quicker like tutorial type of event for people. In addition to that, we were sort of like doing some analysis of the map with this, you know, like high level goal of we want to get people into the battles sooner. And we realized that a lot of the starting territories didn't have skirmish battles.
Okay.
So once you started playing, you oftentimes could spend quite a long period of time before you got to fight another skirmish battle. So we wanted to add more skirmishes, but we didn't want to just make it so that you were like, you know, doing redundant content, or you're playing the same skirmishes over and over again, right? That's not going to be exciting or fun for anyone. So what we did is we were able to pull in some of the new maps. So we added some new 1v1 maps, and like brand new, we also added in some 2v2 maps as well.
Okay.
So that's something you didn't see like anywhere in the campaign before, where you have an ally, an AI ally, and you and that ally have to work together to fight the other two AI enemies.
Okay.
So it adds a really nice extra sort of like flavor and like unique type of feel to it, and we specifically like spread out the 2v2s so that you wouldn't be like fighting 2 or 3 in a row. It's like there's one 2v2 over here, and then like one, so you know, like every now and again it'll pop out. But you're like, oh cool, this is a fun little, you know, like novel experience for us.
Yeah, because I know one of the pieces of feedback that we saw from players after we made some campaign changes, I think back in like 1.4 in Steel Shepherd, is they felt that after those changes there weren't enough skirmishes. You know, I think the initial complaint was like there are too many skirmishes, and then we made a change, and it's like, well, okay, now there's not enough.
We're honing in on it,
Right,
John.
yeah,
we kind of swung from one direction to the other.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like these changes will address some of those concerns, and like we said, get people into the action faster, and we have more skirmishes, especially in that earlier starting zone where we didn't have as many as before.
Yeah, exactly. More skirmishes and more variety to the skirmishes as well.
I'm excited about the 2v2 skirmishes for the campaign, because you know that lets the player have some sort of larger scale RTS battles to sort of break things up.
Yeah, and it's like a very different like dynamic as well, where you have, you know, if you're just trying to fight on your own against 2 AIs, like that's probably going to be too hard, right? So you kind of got to see like, what's my AI doing, where are they at, and how can I sort of like maximize that, right? Because if you can work together with the AI, then you can really like stomp some faces, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I also don't want to gloss over what you said earlier because you mentioned new maps as well. So that means we're hoping that you see those maps more frequently and you don't see as many repeats, if ever,
exactly,
throughout like a one campaign playthrough. So again, just kind of keeping things as fresh as possible.
This is a fresh update. Lot of fresh baking has been going into this.
Yeah. I think one of the last big things we probably want to touch on is the loyalty system. What's going on there?
Yeah. So there's the loyalty system, and in general, like with like the context of all these changes, because there's so many, right, and it's like a lot of moving parts. We're trying to make sure like the overall balance of the campaign doesn't swing too far in one direction or the other. So like with the loyalty system, we made a number of buffs, right? And part of the reason we did that is that we've also increased the challenge level for players. So in general, we had feedback where it's like, the AI kind of feels a bit like a speed bump or whatever, where it's like, it slows you down, but it doesn't really like come at you, right? Like you never really like have that fear of like, oh, I might actually like lose this thing, right? So we added these attack waves in that'll spawn for the player. And we also scaled these attack waves like with the difficulty. So if you're playing on like expert, it's gonna send like a big squad of like 4 at you, versus if you're playing on the easier, it'll just send like 1 extra unit at you. So we wanted to like preserve drastic differences in the difficulty level, so that if you're a new player, you're not going to get like overwhelmed with these crazy attack waves. And then for people who don't know exactly how all the difficulty works, right, the units on the expert, their units are just like stronger than yours, right? So like if you have an equal level unit, theirs is just going to like do more damage to yours, versus easy, it's the opposite, and yours are going to like have an advantage, right?
Right. So do these attack waves kind of seek out your companies, or are they kind of hitting your friendly territories? How does that work?
Yeah, so they'll spawn kind of like in various, like they could kind of spawn from any territory the enemy has. So like you actually do need to be careful, because if you take most of an area but there's still like one little province, they could have like an attack wave of like 4 units spawn in there and then just start like wreaking havoc through your territory.
Right. Or I guess if you overextend and then get hit with one of these waves, you can find your companies a little cut off a little bit, right? Yeah,
exactly. Your stuff is pushed all out, and then they come from the backside. You're not gonna have anything to defend, and they're gonna start taking your territories back.
Okay.
So it definitely adds an extra, kind of like wrench that gets thrown into things, and there are a lot of tools and stuff you have, right? Like we're talking about, like, oh yeah, like building defenses is now more important because the AI actually attacks you, right? And like, oh, if you can, like line up a bombing run to hit like a couple of those attackers in one shot, which I've been able to do. It's like really satisfying, because you're like, oh no, I'm in a lot of trouble here. So you can kind of use all your tools and stuff like that to deal with those attacks. But the question you actually asked me, loyalty system, right? So yeah, we made some updates to the loyalty system because the difficulty level was increased, and also a number of the unlocks in the loyalty system didn't change the gameplay in like very significant or meaningful ways. So number one thing we wanted with the loyalty system was to...
This is all great, but like, I kind of feel like, assuming this segment is an hour, and then the multiplayer segment is also an hour, I just feel like that's not a great allocation of time. I feel like it should have been more time on the multiplayer stuff, to be honest. Just a thought.
It's like, well, I really want to make, Valenti happy. How do I do that, right? So now you can see exactly what you need to do for each of the generals. So it was a nice little, communication, quality of life thing. But in general, we've resorted the order of some of the passives, because the ones where the general would like join you for the final battle, right? That's only useful at the very end of the game when you're fighting the final battle. But you would get it before the end of the tree, right? So it's like you get it and it just does nothing, and then you're just unlocking more stuff, right? And you're like, well, why did I get this thing, right? So we pushed all those to the end of the tree, so you actually have to like fully fully vet up the general to the max level to be able to get those things. So it feels more like an epic reward for the end of the tree to help you in the last battle against the enemy.
Okay.
And then there's a number of the passives too, where it was like, oh, they were doing things that were sort of small in magnitude. It's like, you know, if you spend 10 turns to unlock one of these things, you want it to be like good, right? So we went through and sort of like did a balance pass on a number of those. There's also quite a few of them where we kind of just like did a redesign of it, where we just like totally updated it and like, okay, now here's like a new cool sort of like toy to play with, basically. So like one of them, for example, is when you attack emplacements, you get like triple the reward for munitions, right? So instead of getting 20, you can get like 60 munitions for taking out these things. So
Not too shabby, yeah.
Yeah, so oftentimes I found when I was playing, it was like I would kind of ignore those things. You know, it's like, if there's a critical one that was bombing me, you know, I'd hit it, I'd take it out. But once you take the territory, their hit points just go down automatically over time, right? So I'm like, they'll just take attrition and die, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, I can like farm munitions if I can like pop off a whole bunch of these
Right,
things.
okay.
So the idea is, as you're unlocking these things, it kind of changes your tactics a bit for the gameplay.
Okay. Very cool. So I think that kind of covers all the bullet point list that we had here.
Woo!
Eric,
Did it.
I know that was a ton to get through in half an hour. So do you have any sort of final thoughts about like all the work that you and the team have put into the campaign improvements here for the second anniversary? Maybe some of your, again, circle back to some of your objectives in terms of like, how do you want the player to sort of feel as they're playing through this? And yeah, just like, because for me, it sounds like this is a new time, or the perfect time to start a brand new save.
100%.
And play through this all over again.
Everything is going to be backwards compatible, though. So if you're like in the middle of a game that you're really enjoying and you're on turn 30 or whatever, you load it in there and you'll have, all your units and everything will still be there. So you can continue a save if you want.
Okay.
But also having, fresh from the beginning is kind of like the ideal experience, I would say, where you can now have access to all these tools right from the get-go and be able to make, some really cool decisions and just, getting to think more deeply about the choices that you're making, because it's like, well, if I build the wrong unit and then, I don't have the march and I can't get over there in time to defend my stuff, right? Like, that stuff all matters and is really important now.
Yeah.
So this pass is like really adds a lot of depth to the C map, and it just feels better, more responsive and stuff like that, in addition to being more strategic and deep. So
C map is dev talk for campaign map.
Yeah, campaign map, sorry. And yeah, I think this was really rewarding for us to work on, because the C map is kind of like a big board game, right? And board games, big fan. So being able to do all this stuff was really cool to make our like board game, have a lot of depth and strategy and intrigue to it. So I think in general we're just like really excited for players to like get in there and get to try it out and give us feedback and see what they like. And this is a persistent online game, right? So we're gonna continue to like make improvements and stuff to it, but like this is definitely like the best version of it. Like this is feeling really good.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear, Eric. I'm sure players are excited to get their hands on it and try it out for themselves. So again, folks, all of these campaign improvements will be in the second anniversary update. But let's head to our next segment. Thanks so much, Eric, and we'll chat with you later.
Yeah, thanks, John. I love coming on here and chatting Company Heroes 3.
All right, and now I am joined by Will, so that means we must be talking about maps. For those that don't know you, Will, can you quickly introduce yourself and tell us what do you do on Company Heroes 3?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Will. I am senior designer and multiplayer map designer on Company Heroes 3.
Okay, and I know you also do a lot with our voice talent. And I know we briefly mentioned that on last week's Battle Group Deep Dive. We're doing a bunch of new VO for the game as well with this update. So very exciting to have you here. I know our focus right now is going to be on maps, but is there anything you want to say about VO first?
Just that we're excited to see what people think. We've had an opportunity to get back into the recording studio with a bunch of our existing characters. So, for example, our heavy tanks, they had another shot at it. To get some extra lines for the new vehicles. We had an opportunity to create a brand new character for the US heavy armor, so our Pershing has a unique voice. We got back in with our Intel characters as well, so the British, DAC, and Wehrmacht Intel characters have got new lines for new abilities that came online with the previous battle groups as well. We've been able to get unique lines recorded for them too, which is lovely. And it also gave us an opportunity to recast and re-record our US Intel character. I mentioned in the previous live stream that we originally went with quite a youthful, naive character because we wanted to portray the US Army when it's first starting out. It's their first engagements in North Africa and Europe. Over time, that theme just hasn't gelled as well as we'd like. It came across as a little bit too jovial. So we went for a little bit more serious, more down-to-earth character. But it was lovely to use that as an opportunity to get new lines for all the new content that's coming as well.
Okay, and speaking of new content, we have new maps. So with this being Coh3's second anniversary, we want to revisit everything Company of Heroes and bring back some fan-favorite maps from Company of Heroes 1 and 2. So can you tell us what's on the docket for today? How many maps are we bringing back?
We are bringing back 4 maps, but in 5 iterations.
Okay.
No, that's wrong. We're bringing back 3 maps in 4 iterations. There'll be 5 maps total.
Perfect. So I think we also have a community map, right, rounding things out today.
Exactly, yes. We've brought in a map called Jebel Pass from GB Pirate, which people have known about for a very long time. We finally have an opportunity to bring it in.
Okay, excellent. So I know we were very selective when picking these maps. We had a lot of discussions with players, obviously, behind closed doors. So did we do any sort of? I'm sure we'll get into this in more detail, but did we sort of tweak things based on player feedback?
Absolutely, yeah. It must be apparent for a lot of people who have played classic maps that we brought back, like Steppes and Monthermé and Semois. Bringing maps back exactly as they were in Coh 1 and Coh 2 won't necessarily work. Not only is it a different engine, it's not as easy as just grabbing the files and dropping it into Coh 3 and it all of a sudden works. Right. All of the art is brand new. The only things that we can really bring over are the height map, so that's the terrain, and we can take a top-down view of the old maps and lay that over as if it's a layer of wallpaper, so we can kind of see where all the roads and buildings and stuff would go. That's all we can really save. But things like territory need to be designed from scratch. A lot of the cover needs to be adjusted. Coh 3 also plays very differently to how Coh 1 and Coh 2 did. They all had the different flows and metas. Some things just simply don't work. Keep in mind as well, like in Coh 1, there was no vaulting. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the maps were designed around forcing you into certain pathways. They would become routes to be mined. And in Coh 2, there were things like mud and snow tech that we just don't have in Coh 3. So there were a lot of these decisions that had to be made early on. Where do we want to make improvements? How far do we want to go with it? How can we keep the identity of the original maps?
Right.
Without changing them too much, but also bringing them into the aesthetic and the theme of Coh 3.
Okay, so let's maybe get into the first one. Can you reveal for us our first 1v1 map?
Our first map is the absolute classic in Angoville.
Mm-hmm. So we'll take a look at it right here with some a quick walkthrough right now. But again, a classic Coh 1 map. Tell me a little bit about why did we want to bring back Angoville, and maybe how has this changed between its first iteration and with Coh 3?
Yeah, so Angoville is one of my favorite maps. It's one of the first maps I played in Coh 1.
You didn't miss anything.
Forever burned into my memories as an absolute classic. And it's notorious around the studio as being one of the most famous Coh maps because it was one of the first. It
very good.
was a very cutthroat map in Coh 1, and it continues to be cutthroat in Coh 2. In Coh 3. We created a version in Coh 2 that didn't play particularly well. I know it wasn't a very popular choice in Coh 2, mostly because the territory changed. But we're returning to a similar style of the Coh 1's territory layout. For those who aren't familiar with it, if you can visualize, you have fuel points in opposite corners, and you have cutoffs, 4 major cutoffs, 2 on each side of the map. So it's extremely easy to travel through the middle of the map and cut off all the resources to the sides. So there's as much fighting in the middle, despite there being no resources there, as there are on these high resources to the flanks.
Right.
We've adjusted the resources ever so slightly, so it's not plus 16s in the corners, because that can make it very swingy. We wanted to make the games last a little longer than a extremely cutthroat 10 minutes, which some of the matches were. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to work on this one.
And I imagine with Coh3's territory system and income system being a little bit more similar to Coh1's, it makes sense for to return to how Angoville was originally laid out, right?
Exactly, yeah. We've made some other minor changes that you'll notice in the capture circles, for example, are smaller. Because Coh1 didn't have capture circles, and we brought those in from Coh2. Because it's such a small map and there are so many points near each other, the capture circles were almost overlapping. Some units with bigger formations, like Gurkhas, for example, they could capture 2 points at once. In some places, they could almost capture 3 points at once. So we've reduced the capture circles on all the points. In fact, I believe we've done it on a couple of the new maps.
Okay.
So interesting to see how those go down as well.
All right. So you alluded to the fact that are the different games play very, very differently. So as a player, maybe a veteran player or as a novice player, how should I be approaching my matches on this map in these 1v1 head-to-heads? What are some of the main differences between how I play this in Coh3 versus how I might play it in Coh1?
So how you would play it in both games is similar, but the tools at your disposal are going to be very different. Mostly because we have a lot more tools available in Coh3. Coh1, there were some very nasty strategies, things like wiring off specific buildings or some of the narrow routes, planting mines where you could goad greyhounds that might try and base dive you, for example. That was metaformed over years. With Coh3, the same idea stands for the map. So you have two sides, very open towards the west, and then more farmhouses and hedgerows to the east. So if you're going to be playing close quarters with flamethrowers, mines, MGs even, use the east side of the map and try and hold those buildings. If you're going to be favouring more light vehicles and long-range weapons like AT guns, mortars, the west side of the map is more suited for you. And it isn't uncommon at all to find players who favour one side or the other will just completely dominate that entire side, almost up to the base of the next player.
Right.
And just hold one side, because the resources are essentially the same on either side. So you can get weird games like that, where you're just knocking on your neighbour's door without pushing into their base.
Okay. Anything else to say about Angoville before we move to the next one?
Just that we worked quite closely with competitive players on this one, because we wanted to make sure we got it right. So there are some minor adjustments to make things better. We still welcome all feedback on these, and we'll talk about that a little bit later and where to leave feedback. But because this is such a favoured map, we wanted to keep that spirit of what Angoville was, and I hope you agree that we've done it justice.
Okay. So our 1v1 players are definitely feasting this update. Tell me about our revisit to Langres.
Langres, yes. So Langres, for those who don't know, was a community map originally. It was a Coh1 community map. Was very, very successful, got ported over into Coh2, became more brutal in Coh2 because of its size and its victory point layout. It is, I believe, the smallest map in the game. And you can feel that because you're playing on the sides, not in the corners, like you were in Angoville. So in Angoville, you're playing a little bit wider, whereas Langres is very, very close. You are always within range of your opponent. Pretty much as soon as you step out your base, there's a high chance that you'll be in combat.
Yeah.
But with the same points with Angoville, we wanted to kind of bring it up to speed for Coh3, make sure that it benefits from all the balance passes that it's seen over the years. So we've done a little bit of adjustments of hedgerows, because Langres is famous for the hedgerow formations that it has throughout the map. Some of them have been re-added, the ones that were taken out of Coh2, and others have been moved. Similarly for the buildings, there are some pretty dominant buildings on the either side of this map where we've adjusted those where we can. This is a map I can see will probably need some balanced feedback at some point, some updates as people playing it, because it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
But that was the whole point. It was very, very popular. It was a highly requested map to bring back as well, just because of how short, sharp, and brutal those games are. Even in testing, you could tell straight away that this is not the kind of map that's going to drag on for 40 minutes plus. This is going to be over and done with. You'll probably get 2 games in for every one you would in any other mode. So it's that kind of map.
All right. Did we make any other sort of changes outside of the ones that you mentioned, or do you want to talk about how we play on this map?
There are some visual changes. So previously, the original version of Langres was nice and green and lush. In Coh3, it went quite muddy and wintry and brown, and with this one, we've gone autumnal. So we're kind of meeting halfway. But no, let's jump on to how to play it.
Yeah. So again, if I'm new to Coh3 and I've never played on Langres, what should I be looking for?
So Langres is what we call a rotation map. It spirals clockwise. So your resources as you leave your HQ and go clockwise are the safest and easiest to capture. And you can essentially keep on going clockwise until you end up at your enemy base. Your opponent is going to be doing the same thing. They'll be going clockwise and they'll be appearing on your right flank. And if you push to the middle, there's not really much in the way of resources there, but there's the central victory point, and there's also cut-offs. So if you go through the center, you will find strategic points that will cut off those resources to your opponent's clockwise direction, and they have the same for you. If they push towards your base through the middle, they will cut off your clockwise rotations as well. So it's all about rotating or choosing whether to go counterclockwise if you want to try and beat them at their own game.
Right.
You'll struggle to keep your resources connected as easily if you go counterclockwise, but you'll almost guaranteed run into their units if you go that way.
Okay.
So it's quite different, unlike Angoville that was essentially you go either straight through the middle or to either side, and you can pick whichever side you want. This one encourages you to take the clockwise route.
Okay, well, I'm excited to see players jump into matches on this map because, again, like you said, it's a fan favorite. A lot of people wanted to see it back.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to the next one. And again, this is a little bit special because we have a classic map, but we've got two versions of it. So tell me about Crossing in the Woods. I know we had a bit of a sneak peek again last week in the Battle Group Deep Dive, but let's maybe talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so Crossing in the Woods is still one of the most, if not the most played 2v2 maps in Coh3. It debuted in Coh1. Some people may not know that. It was under a different name. I don't think it was incredibly popular at the time, but it started there, and it still uses a lot of the same layout and cover and everything from then. But when we brought it into the new engine for Coh3, it became immediately apparent that it's too small. It would have been the smallest 2v2 map across any of our games. So we made the decision to make two versions of it. The original size map from Coh1 and Coh2 is going to be the 1v1 version.
Ah, okay.
It's a decent size for a 1v1 because it's playing corner to corner. There are some far corners that you might have to reach out to. But otherwise, it plays very, very similarly. It's very familiar. Whereas the 2v2 version is slightly extended. We've added about, I think it's between 32 and 64 meters on either side. So all four sides, they're all a little bit further out. Gives you some more flanking maneuvers and routes to slip by unnoticed. Those who have played Crossing will know that it gets very campy very quick because you are locking down the river. So MGs, for example, and AT guns can hold major areas. So having these additional width routes around the side can really help sneak in, especially with light vehicles. But as a result, we don't have one of the core mechanics from Coh1 and Coh2, which is negative cover. The river previously used to be very deadly to cross, but because we don't have negative cover in Coh3, you're going to need those flanking routes more than ever.
Right. So when it comes to looking at a map and assessing it, is it really just a size thing where you kind of say, like, you know what, this just feels too claustrophobic, we need to stretch it out a little bit? Was that sort of the equation or the math that you had to do?
Yeah.
Or is there more there?
It isn't necessarily even in the numbers. You can tell just by playing a game on a map that's too small, and it will feel claustrophobic. You almost feel like there's not enough opportunities to get around your opponent. So in 2v2 on the original map, for example, you could probably lock down the entire map with just 4 MGs. And in 2v2, the chances are you could get 4 MGs very easily.
Right, yeah.
So that's what kind of rang alarm bells. We did some playtesting with some of our top players. We've got loads of feedback on that map because that was also highly requested. And yeah, it became apparent very quickly. So that was an overnight fix. That was a very quick job to try and get a new prototype out that let you play 2v2 or 1v1.
Literally all the tanks.
And it felt immediately better. So just one of those things of being on a different engine.
Okay, and like I said, you can get a closer look at it in last week's Battle Group Deep Dive. Any other sort of final thoughts on Crossing in the Woods, either version of those?
I mean, they're both classics. They'll be very, very familiar to those who are used to them, and for new players, I would highly recommend them, just because of how streamlined the map is. It's got no difficult quirks to it. It is very much a shallow river to cross with resources in corners, and a very highly contestable victory point in the middle on a land bridge. If it's your first time playing Company of Heroes, I would definitely recommend that Crossing be the map that you do it on.
Okay. Let's talk about our community map.
Yes.
Jebel Pass. What can you tell me about this?
So, as we mentioned in the
cool
previous live stream
like,
leading up to this one, we've gotten the community map train rolling again. Jebel Pass has been one that's been in the hopper for a long time.
I'm pretty sure
we've
this is the
known
one that
GB
used to be
Pirate for a very long time
Pass.
as well.
We played
We've
it a
worked
long
closely
time
with
ago,
him
I can't
and are continuing to do so. Jebel Pass has been in a couple of tournaments, but under a different name.
Yeah, there we
It
go.
was originally called Kassarian Pass, and I think Tunisian Pass, and has now gone to Jebel Pass to help it stand out from any other maps. It was also completely redesigned for this patch. GB made the original version, still wasn't satisfied with how it was done, so decided to go entirely back to the drawing board and build the entire thing from scratch all over again, which is no mean feat. Which we're very grateful for as well, because it's a huge undertaking. So the version that you'll be playing is not the same as the old versions that
How much is
you'd
the
be used
DLC?
to if you
I think
played
it's
it on the workshop or in tournaments.
$25 US.
But it is still very much a competitive
Excuse me.
1v1 map based in the desert.
And I will say, it looks beautiful as well.
It does.
When I was playing it,
Comes with the 4 battle groups.
Every time I look in a new corner, there's
So you'll
something
get
new
like
to sort
you'll
of
get the
discover
maps and like the campaign stuff
gawk
for
at.
free.
So I do have a little bit of a
But the multiplayer
write up
battle
here
groups you
from
have to pay
GB
for.
Pirates. So I'll just dive right into that. He says, Jebel Pass has been a long time in the making. First, a casual project to learn how to use the Essence Editor, then a competitive map for the Master League in early 2023, then a complete overhaul based on detailed feedback from Will. Who could that be? Jebel Pass takes inspiration from not only the Battle of Kasserine Pass, but many other battles for equally important mountain passes around the same time in Tunisia. Thank you to the community members clandestinely testing and giving valuable feedback on the map, and a shout out to K-Pen for his aesthetic advice. Working with Will and the folks at Relic on this map has been a treat. It's clear how passionate you all are about Company of Heroes 3, even after so many years of development and post-launch support. Much love, GB Pirates. So thanks, GB Pirates. Will, any sort of additional insight on the work that you did with him to get this map ready for the auto match pool?
Yeah. So I'm sure I've mentioned before, but the process of bringing community maps online unfortunately isn't as streamlined as you might think. We can't just take a map from the workshop and drop it in. What we'd usually do is work quite closely with the original designer of the map for a couple of months before we consider integrating it. And in those months, we will do some playtests, we'll look through feedback, we'll generally give as much advice as possible, because once we take their map and put it in our own internal builds, that's the last time they can really touch it. And then the onus is on me to get the map finished. And what I will do then is take it through what we call a V3 pass, which is a final design pass. It'll be getting the title and the description of the map localized in different languages. I'll create a custom minimap for it, and I will just go through and do pathfinding tests and make sure everything works the way that we'd hope any of our official maps would as well. So it's quite a hands-on process. It's so worth it though. It's amazing to bring in community maps, the amount of work it's put in. And it's worth adding that GB Pirate is just a testament to the whole process. He among many of our other mappers have gone through so much work and feedback and iteration. He's not afraid to kill his darlings, as he'd say. He's ripped up and rebuilt his own map over and over again in order to get it where he's happy with it. And it is a work of art for a lot of our designers and community mappers. So if you are considering making maps yourself, it might be scary to begin with, but we love it. And we hope you will too. It's such a therapeutic process, even if you are having to rip things up and build them again.
I think that's a phenomenal segue, Will. Thank you for setting me up into talking about GB Pirates map-making competition.
Yes.
So we're very happy here at Relic to be sponsoring that. We've put forward a $2,000 prize pool. I know GB Pirates also got some additional funds for that prize pool
Sorry,
as well.
I've been talking kind
So
of quietly.
That is still open for submissions until March 2nd, so you got a couple of weeks once this video goes live. And that competition is accepting original maps in any category from 1v1 to 4v4. And you know, I think it's again a great opportunity for people to take a dip into making their own maps, and you know, potentially walking away with some prize funds. And again, who knows? You know, if we like something that we see in that competition, doesn't necessarily have to come first. If we see any of the submissions that catch our eye, I'm sure you might be reaching out to say like, hey, can we get this into the game?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm always watching the Steam Workshop like a hawk. As soon as I see something that I want, I will immediately get in touch.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't be afraid as well if it's your first map or if you've never touched a level editor before. This was the level editor I started with on Company of Heroes 1, and I've been hooked ever since. I can't paint, I can't draw, but I can apparently build maps, and that's something that I've thoroughly enjoyed ever since, so please give it a try.
And again, we also have our Map Making 101 video series, which you can find on our YouTube channel if you want to go and get some step-by-step instructions from Will himself. I think last but certainly not least, we also want to call out the official Relic Entertainment Discord. We have the Company of Heroes 3 category there, where we're always accepting map feedback. Anything you want to say on that, Will?
Yeah, so in this patch as well, we have done some minor adjustments to most of the map pool. Nothing significant enough to call out in a live stream, but we are always taking in feedback, and we are always integrating it. As soon as I see something, I will usually work on it. You might see a little emoji of bacon, just so I remember that I've looked at it and I've processed what you said. But yeah, don't ever sit on problems with maps. If you ever come across something that you think this is a balance issue, this is a pathfinding issue, whatever, just let us know where it is. You don't even have to take screenshots, although that does help. But just say, had an issue, it was here, can you do something? Do something. And I will do something.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we want our maps to work exactly as you want them to work.
Yeah.
So let us know.
And again, that's in the map feedback section on the official Discord. And I think that's a great place to end things. So there you have it, folks. We have 5 brand new maps, or I guess 4 classic maps. Sorry, 3 classic maps. 2 with 2 versions, or 1 with 2 versions, a community map. 5 total coming
5
to
total maps.
Coming to all game modes in Company of Heroes 3 in the 2.0 anniversary update. And I think that's going to do it. Thank you so much, Will. Appreciate your time as always.
Anytime.
And now I am joined by Jason and Darren to talk about all things multiplayer balance in Company of Heroes 3. For those that don't know you, let's do some quick intros. Jason, let's start with you.
I'm Jason. I'm lead balance designer on Company of Heroes 3.
And Darren?
Hey, my name's Darren Chan, and I'm one of the gameplay designers for Company of Heroes 3.
Awesome. So, obviously, we have a pretty huge shakeup to multiplayer with the Fire and Steel DLC battle groups. 4 brand new battle groups, 1 for each faction. That's obviously adding a ton of stuff to the game already. So how are we kind of tackling things from the balance perspective? Are we kind of doing work in anticipation of the impact that those battle groups are going to have on the meta, or are we kind of just slotting those in and doing some additional changes on the side? Jason, maybe you can talk about like your approach for how you're tackling things.
So, yeah, the new battle groups are intended to kind of slot into the game as is. There are some minor things that we have to consider, but for the most part, they are developed and balanced around the existing game. As additional options and battle groups, they're not really meant to completely throw off the way all of the other battle groups play. It's just meant to be another option that adds new gameplay to the game. So yeah, it should slot it.
Okay, that's great to know. So, Darren, maybe you can outline some of the larger sort of general changes that we've got going on in the 2nd anniversary update. What have we been doing outside of all of the work for battle groups?
So we have taken time to go through some of our vehicles in the game. We wanted to make positioning a bit more important for vehicles and a little bit more rewarding for facing your armor correctly or getting into advantageous positions, like getting to the enemy's rear armor on heavier vehicles, because we're finding most players, or in the game in general, once you got to the side armor, you didn't really need to start hitting the rear armor of the heavier tanks because you could just generally go through the side. So we're doing a significant change to most of the heavier vehicles in the game, not the light vehicles, where they will start taking additional damage if you hit them in the rear armor, because we just want players to make positioning more important and also getting to that, much smaller place on the vehicle on the back compared to Coh3, more important.
Right.
And a key decision that you can make.
Huh?
Jason, what else? What other sort of general stuff have we been looking
Bonus damage
We
from
have
rear
quite
shots.
a few other general changes, but the vehicle rear armor is a big part. Some of the other changes, we originally intended this patch to do quite a large overhaul of vehicles, kind of similar to what we did with TTK and Vet. But as we kind of worked on it longer and longer, production realities, but B, we didn't find that there were that many cases where we need to do major shifts. So rather than doing one really big patch, we're going to be just doing spot changes over time.
Okay.
So some examples of spot changes for this one is
I don't know what
some
the
of the
multiplier
penetration
is, so I don't know what
values
to make of
for
this yet.
vehicles at point blank range have been reduced. Something we noticed was that the pen rate to, for example, side armor in particular, was too extreme, where a lot of vehicles, if you drove them right up to a vehicle and shot them through the side, they essentially just didn't have armor. So we're reducing that for a few vehicles in particular.
Nice.
We're also doing quite a lot of minor balance tweaks to a lot of vehicles. So you'll see a lot of the mid-game vehicles for USF and Wehrmacht have gotten better.
Okay.
Another example of this is that we actually moved Tier 4 back slightly by raising their fuel costs.
Okay.
We were noticing that rushing to
Ooh.
Tier 4 was a little too prevalent. So, and mid-game vehicles were kind of having less of an impact on the game. So what we wanted to do is lower that, and then we also raised the power of the mid-game vehicles slightly for some of the factions that were lacking.
Okay. Yeah, I know we had that sort of vehicle work plotted out on the roadmap whenever we released that event originally, like back in the summer or
Dude,
fall.
no more-
I think it's
no
just a
more
good
choppy
example of
spam,
like how things
please.
can change over the course of a game's lifespan and during like production. So I'm glad that you called that out. Darren, what other changes can players expect in this update?
For like large system changes, we have done a pass on our field defenses, so we have done significant changes there, particularly now field defenses for like sandbags, wire. Most of those options will now build significantly faster, but now it will also come at the cost of like you will no longer be able to capture while you're building field defenses. As we're finding in the game, people generally did not build like the lighter field defenses unless they were on capture duty, just because it took so
What?
long to build them. So the only time you really had to put them down was on the capture points,
Right.
because that's the only time you would generally spend a significant amount of your, I guess, time. I'm just sitting around doing nothing. So might as well build something like a sandbag.
Yeah.
And that was a problem for us as balancers in particular, because we wanted to make building sandbags or field defenses in general like in the general parts of the map more powerful. But we already knew that building sandbags in particular near capture points was already quite strong. And we couldn't, wasn't really a way to buff one without buffing the other. So our decision was essentially to remove, or you can no longer capture while building. So you have to choose one or the other. But this also flattens the kind of the value of building anywhere on the map versus on a capture point. So the idea this way is that this gives us the room in the future, if we want to make continuous changes, to make field defenses more powerful without necessarily just rewarding that play pattern. Because we also think that play pattern is also not that strategic, right? It already makes it makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of a nice trick. But also for a lot of players, it's somewhat of a micro tax, and it's just something you kind of have to know. Once you know, it's intuitive, but it's very much like a hidden trick that gives you a lot of extra power.
Right.
Now, we do know these changes have disproportionate impacts on different factions. Wehrmacht is probably the biggest loser from these changes, and we are keeping a close eye on this. For now, we did make a lot of other changes that should balance this out, but the impacts of this were not.
This is
completely
weird.
Sure, so we'll be.
This is
keeping a
really
close eye.
weird, man.
Okay. And I understand that we changed the way that certain vehicles will interact with barbed wire. Darren, can you explain that a little bit?
Yep, since barbed wire is generally so easily removed in our game because vehicles just need to touch it to essentially destroy a piece of barbed wire, we're now making there be a consequence for running over barbed wire if you're the lighter vehicles for the most part. Alright, so if you run over barbed wire, you will get a speed debuff, so that means if you do decide to make the decision to run into barbed wire with your light vehicles to remove them, you are taking that risk of being slowed down significantly.
Hey,
and
this
possibly
is cool.
letting
This
your
is
opponent
cool.
Take advantage of that.
I like
if
this.
they're in a defensive position or not.
I like
And
that.
it also
That is
rewards
cool.
you for putting down like some of these early defenses is that you spend time doing because prior it's like, oh, you get barbed wire up, you stop infantry, but you don't really stop anything else.
Right.
And it pretty much becomes you pretty much don't bother with wire outside the first few minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's kind of right.
Okay.
There were also some minor improvements to the things like demo charges and the gap between tank traps as you build them.
The no
So
building
both
while
of those are gonna
capturing?
be
Yeah,
much more
that
efficient.
is questionable.
The demo charges have also
I don't
changed
think
the
I like
Goliath,
that.
which we kind of consider tied together as kind of a mobile demo charge, essentially.
I think that's a huge
So
nerf to
expect to see
Vermont
those to be
specifically.
significantly better. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are there any other sort of general changes to any systems or
Yeah.
unit types?
So some of the other vehicle changes that we got was we changed the machine guns on a lot of our vehicles. A lot of
Oh
them
my
were
God,
not
they
tuned
did it.
correctly, so they either did too much damage, or the more common case, they just kind of didn't really have an impact. And we did want a lot of these things to matter, because one big part of using hull machine guns and pintols was that or coaxes was that it required you to position your vehicles correctly. And so we wanted to have a more meaningful difference between running at a vehicle from the front and face tanking all of the machine guns versus, from any other direction. So that's another change. It wasn't that significant of a change for all of the vehicles, but some vehicles have gotten much better with the machine guns.
Dude.
I'll add to that. The biggest significant winner is generally the pinto mounts for the machine guns. They did a little bit too. They didn't do enough damage at long range, despite the fact you would pay a significant munition cost into them for the turreted medium tank. So those are made much better. And when you combine that with the other two buffs to the hull and coaxial machine guns, this will make tanks quite a bit more threatening at range, but it also means cover is now more important to take against vehicles because machine guns
Dave, so
are much less effective against units in cover compared to say
There
a
we
tank's
go.
main gun.
There we go,
Okay.
dude. This
Very
is
cool.
this is literally
should we
I've been
jump
asking
into
for this
some of the faction changes, or was there
Yeah.
anything else?
forever.
Yeah, let's
Finally.
jump straight into it.
Okay. What have we done with the U.S. forces?
You want to start?
You can start.
Oh,
with
I don't
that.
want to start talking because I want to
Sure.
hear what they say.
So the Chaffee has seen quite a few different changes.
That's the
We've
good
lowered
stuff
its
right
cost,
there.
we've increased some of its base mobility, and we gave it a new ability, the smoke shot. The
Cover you
concept
build,
is to
idiot.
essentially make the Chaffee slightly more usable, because a lot of the scenarios where it was quite good before have been somewhat reduced. So the big culprit is 8-rad spam not really being that much of a thing anymore. But yeah, we wanted to give the Chaffee some alternative roles. And we're going to keep a close eye on the unit because we do know this unit can spike quite heavily in either way. It either becomes really used or can be really unused. So which is currently. So we're going to make those changes. We also have quite a few small changes to things like the Pathfinders and the Assault Engineers. We were
Oh my
noticing
God,
that
thank
in
you.
1v1 in particular, players were able to flood the map quite early and to really big success essentially, and shut down especially Wehrmacht before they could kind of get going by following it up with things like the M3 half track. So we made quite a few changes small changes, but we've made quite a few small changes to each of these units to slow it down a bit and also make the transition weaker.
Okay, and I imagine that would also encourage some early game unit diversity as well, so you're not just sort of spamming one strategy.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else for the U.S. forces? No,
I think
that's it. All right.
Well, one other major change though
Yeah.
is the MSC has
Okay.
been changed.
Yeah.
So originally it unlocked the straight up buildable of the 75 mil and the quad in the WSC, and we have moved that to the motor pool. However, we've also made the change where you no longer have to pay a premium to build these vehicles, so they cost exactly the same as the base half track. this basically means allows MSC builds to be a little bit more flexible, and also reduce the power of some of the early game half-track spam that you could potentially do, which is also relevant because heavy weapons, the new battle group for USF, does lean into that quite a lot. So this is one of the few preemptive changes as well. The idea is to also make the half-track spam more conductive with the other light vehicles. You used to have to choose, which you still can. If you go WSC, you can still hard build them and upgrade them. We haven't changed that, but it allows, if you want to go very heavy into light vehicles, a path into motor pool.
Okay. So let's maybe get into the Wehrmacht.
Yep.
I think we're doing some stuff with their teching from some of the playtesting that we've done. So can we maybe talk about what we've done with their tiers and their buildings?
So for Wehrmacht, we were noticing, and this goes with the previous change of us delaying the tier 4, Wehrmacht generally, outside of maybe extended Luftwaffe company play, they didn't really play on an extended tier 2.5 or 3.5 for the Luftwaffe and Panzergrenadier building, because those units, once you hit a certain point in the game, particularly in the late game, you were kind of stuck on that sort of tech if you wanted to play an extended version, and you were not able to upgrade it. So the biggest change we have done for the tiers is make armored skirts available for all the Wehrmacht vehicles once you've unlocked support elements for either the Luftwaffe or Panzergrenadier company. So if you want to go into that, like,
okay, that is why I saw that in the showcase, because I was like, how did his studs get
vehicles, you can do
skirts?
that at the cost of, you know, paying the additional price early on for those units, but it does allow you to now extend out that sort of play rather than like, all right, I have to go to tier 4, or if I want to hold on at this point of the game, you can now play a more extended mid-game tier.
Yeah, I like that.
In addition, we have quite a few changes to the west. We have heard the concerns due to things like production, and we haven't been able to get them in, but there are significant changes coming to the west, particularly its tracking barrage. So it'll still remain more accurate than the standard fire, but now it's going to take longer to arrive, as it will always fire in a high-angle arc, and it will be a little bit less accurate than it was before, so it gives players more time to dodge and react to the west tracking units.
Okay, so hopefully not too overbearing moving forward after this.
Yeah, the West was very much overperforming, and unfortunately we couldn't change that in live soon enough. One of the biggest issues was that, unfortunately, due to some essentially a bug, the main barrage got much more accurate than it should have been, which was very much like that on top of the tracking barrage overperforming really kicked the unit into high gear essentially. So both of those are going to be getting tuned back. So and to be clear, the nerfs, so to speak, at least that nerf in particular, is more of a bug fix, but it is a reduction in the performance of the vehicle.
Essentially reverts it back to where it should have been, which is on par with the Bishop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else for the Wehrmacht?
Yeah, there are some more minor changes for Wehrmacht, but we could probably. Yeah.
What about the British forces?
For Brits, one of the main changes was the base howitzer is now stronger.
They don't share the barrage?
We buffed it so that we noticed that it wasn't really that useful, even in the role of essentially area denial. And that, so what we did was that we raised the amount of shells it fired, for example. And
that seems really strong.
We've also did a lot of responsive changes to the base howitzer, so now we'll be able to, your artillery barrage will now arrive a bit faster than it would previously.
Wow.
So it should allow, like, if you go early recce package, it makes that first barrage a bit more devastating to early MGs or defensive play.
Okay. Cool. Any other changes for the Brits that people can expect?
We have done a major change to light vehicle training. We noticed some of the bonuses just didn't play with certain units, so we have done a significant change of changing the modifiers to reload and ability recharge, so units like the Bishop are affected, but also it affects the general British vehicle light vehicle roster, as the majority of them have quite a number of abilities that are good, but you know, they take a long time to recharge. So having those off cooldown faster makes those British light vehicles, if you preserve them into the mid to late game, much more useful.
Yeah, we also noticed that
It's not that
Brits
bad. The
in
Bren is
some
just way
scenarios
better.
struggled early on, and we wanted to smooth out some of their difficulties in the early mid-game phase. So there were some changes, reductions to the cure cost, and a buff to the base Tommy.
Okay.
They're going to be slightly more scary to units that are running at them at close range.
What?
And also, once they hit Vet 1, they're going to be much more scary to or not much more, but a bit more scary to units that are in the open to kind of cement the role. Because before infantry training, they were somewhat easy to kind of run circles around for a lot of players.
What?
And that was an issue. So with some of these changes, the Brits mid-game should be quite a lot better.
Okay, that's great to hear. What about the Deutsche Afrika Corps? What have we done with those folks?
So
Oh my gosh, please.
So we have made a significant change. One of them is the GRB grenade launcher. This does apply to both Axis factions, but for the DAC in particular, they're now having immediate access to the grenade launcher, so they can buy it without needing to wait for tech. As we notice, most people generally wouldn't get the grenade launcher. You would generally get either the support package for them or the flamethrower because it arrived much earlier than, say, the GRB.
Yeah, that's
and
not
generally
why,
didn't
bro.
have that many Panzer Pioneers running around, but we have also significantly buffed the GRB in the role that we want it to be, which is essentially more of a long-range flamethrower that's effective against units in cover or garrisons, while still being fairly weak against units in the open. So now the GRB will be much more useful for clearing positions than it was before, where prior it would struggle to occasionally clear infantry, especially if you only had like 1 or 2 GRBs.
Okay. Jason, what else have we touched on here?
Yeah. So a light change, but I think this probably would make bigger of a difference, is the Panzer Grenadier's veterancy ability has been raised. The duration has been raised, essentially doubled from 15 to 30 seconds. This means that you could support more infantry units with the same amount of vehicles, which we were noticing it was kind of difficult to get all of the value out of the ability to begin with, but also it was a lot of micro to get what was somewhat of a marginal bonus, so we buffed that. Another change, though this is also to both factions, is the ability on the Panzer III and the Panzer IV has been essentially reworked. We've known for a while that this ability has been somewhat difficult at best to use and sometimes quite unrewarding. It also just didn't feel that good to use. So we've adjusted it where it gives you the benefit essentially up front. So you get a reload bonus right away. And then we give you essentially a malice after the fact, giving you kind of a window to exploit the advantage, and then a window for your opponent to essentially fight back, for the player to kind of play around. So this should make the micro for both of these vehicles much more interesting,
Okay.
Which is our goal.
And just to clarify, that's for both the Panzer III for the DAC and the Panzer IV for the Wehrmacht.
So,
Yeah, and the DAC.
Okay, and the DAC, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't forget that.
Gotcha. What about the Semavente? That's the last one here on my list.
Yeah. So the Semavente has been somewhat of an unused unit for quite a while, and it's been difficult to figure out a good role for it. Our current idea is essentially
Nobody
to make
cared
it
about
somewhat
the
of a hybrid
Semavente.
between the Martyr's tank destroyer and the standard, the Stug. So between the brawler and the long-range sniper role, essentially, to make it a fairly good mid-range vehicle that's fairly mobile. So it's going to lean much more into its AT role than before, and it's going to be more effective, essentially.
Okay, very cool. I think that kind of covers all of the faction changes that we had on our list here. Maybe we want to talk about, again, sort of final thoughts here on all of the balance changes coming into the update, along with the new battle groups. Darren, what should players be watching out for in multiplayer? What do you want them to be experiencing? Like, what are your just sort of general thoughts once players get their hands on the anniversary update?
I think for the most part we're not doing a significant change to like everything, like a major system change in the game compared to prior patches. So we're mainly hoping that this patch will tone down some of the certain meta strategies that are just not fun to play against, such as, flooding the US flooding the field in 1v1 or the artillery spam that comes in the 4v4. But we're also hoping that some of the more unused abilities will become a bit more useful for the number of changes we get, and we have a little bit more variety into the game. I'm also hoping that the Typhoon anti-tank loiter will finally be useful. There's another change we're doing.
Yeah.
To the game.
Whoa.
We have quite a few minor changes that should have an impact. One we didn't mention was like the whiz bang is getting a tune-up as another example. So we're hoping to kind of switch up the meta of the base game to begin with, though we are expecting the new battle groups to make quite a splash as well. Again, for 1v1s, I guess, to kind of break it down, in 1v1s, you should expect to see a little bit more mid-game play before going straight to late game. And for 4v4s, we're kind of pulling back a little bit on some of the late game access artillery in particular. And then, we're giving a few more options to play with different units in the team games modes. So we're hoping players are really excited for the new battle groups. And the way they'll impact a lot of these changes and the way these factions play, because all the new battle groups should be giving new playstyles essentially to all of the different factions. So that should hopefully spice up team games in particular quite a lot.
I can't believe you're nerfing the Axis artillery, Jason. All the players keep telling me that we're Axis biased. Why do you have to prove them wrong like this? Anyways, I'm super excited for all the changes, obviously coming in the second anniversary update. Again, the new battle groups are going to have a huge impact, so we're eagerly anticipating a lot of feedback. So please keep that coming once you get your hands on all this new stuff. I guess we'll just kind of end things there. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Jason. Again, we're just looking forward to players getting their hands on this stuff and sending us their feedback. Any sort of final thoughts?
Go out and have fun.
Try out the new battle groups.
All right. Thanks, folks. That's going to do it for today. Again, a huge thank you to the team for joining me to talk about all of their work going into the second anniversary update. As always, if you want to stay up to date on the latest Company of Heroes news, be sure to follow us on your platform of choice: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Twitch at Company of Heroes. You can join our Discord server at discord.gg/Relic Entertainment. The second anniversary patch notes will go up on Steam the morning of February 25th, so keep an eye out for those. And of course, that same day, our new heavy tank battle groups will be available on the Steam store in the Fire and Steel DLC pack. Thanks again for watching. Enjoy the update, and we will see you next time.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. What do we think? What do we think, guys? What do we think of this? Sumo Vente meta incoming. Finally, dude. Finally. Maybe pathing is a small change? Yeah, they didn't mention that, surprisingly. Barbed wires and LV soft counters neat. Agreed. I don't know how I feel. I think the thing that's most concerning to me that they talked about is the no capturing and building cover simultaneously. I don't think I like that. That doesn't sound good to me. I feel like an integral part of, what do you call it? Like making the player feel busy and giving them things to do while you're capturing territory is a good thing. And so by taking that away, it means like you can't do anything while you're capturing a territory point anymore. You just have to sit there and watch. And it was just like a great opportunity to make engineer units more valuable because you could capture backline territory and fortify the position at the same time. And now they've basically killed the incentive to do that. So it means that I actually think it means there will be less fortifications overall in the game. Back to Coh3. Yeah, kinda. You're happy with that change? Just because you're a USF fanboy, Dexon. You just want to be able to right-click all your units into your opponent. Don't think I don't know. Don't think I don't know, dude. No. You can build them in your territory. You just, if you're building something, then you're not able to capture the territory at the same time. That's the change. Big nerf to ASNG spam? Kinda, sorta. We'll see. This seems like a pretty big, like, base level nerf to Vermok to me, to be honest. To be reverted immediately? We'll see. We'll see how it feels. Nah. Another dump taken on to coastals. Yeah, coastals haven't been meta for a bit. Not too sure what's going on there.
Moving out, fellas. Boy in the field, you name it. We'll capture. Let's get. We gotta capture and hold that ground. Scout, loaded and ready. Reference that grid point. We need to secure and hold it. Order capture and hold that area. Barracks is ready for you. Point secure. Keep alert. Germans might probe the area to see if we're still here. No route too challenging. We're gonna drive.
Rifleman squad deploy.
Scout, loaded and ready. Once we capture that point. Be ready. Get next. Recon kit. Stand by. Like we got a purpose. Get on it, fellas. Capture complete, sir. Waiting on you. We're up, boys.
Riflemen are ready.
Say the word, sir. Come on, we ain't got all day.
Look sharp, fellas. We're up. Let's head out. Advance team, securing point. Recon package arrived, sir. No route too challenging.
What do you need? On our way, sir. Come on, let's get this show on the road. Where the hell did they come from?
Boys, on your feet. Let's go. Double time, soldiers. Let's move out. Keep that formation tight.
I want that infantry dead!
Shut your cake hole and listen up. Move your ass. Go! Jump to it, boys. Area secure. Watch your flanks. Contact.
Come on, boys.
Relay him. Oh, goddammit!
Just came in.
Riflemen ready!
Say the word.
Infantry support research underway!
Hey, come on! Move your asses! Move, move, move! I'm hit, man! Move your ass! Go! Get ready. Make it happen, fellas. Let's go, boys! What it is, keep that formation tight. Might get hot, so be ready. Son of a bitch! Lock and load! Drop those crap bags! Hold in! Move, move, move!
This guy does not have an MG. Oh,
He's dead! Locked and loaded. Come on, let's get this shot on the road. Move! Watch your flanks! Get on with it! Sergeant, move! Back, goddammit!
bunga bunga.
Hey, moving! Goddammit, rifles! Open those asses!
A fuel point is being seized by the enemy!
Watch for movement! Come on, move your asses! Stand by! Jump to it! Pick up the... God dang it!
Bunga bunga, my boy.
Take down that flank!
Infantry support research completed!
Move, move, move! Missiles, open up! Hold it! Goddammit, rifles! Get those son of a pieces of quiet!
We're losing a fuel point!
It's on, boys!
What's the mission?
Jesus Christ! I'm jammed! Move your ass! Go! Rifles losing integrity! Let him up, enemy point needs to be neutralized! Yes, sir! Get on!
Damn it! Territory sector claimed by the enemy.
Let's give him hell! That's a go! Move! Watch him, Lyman! He'll get out of here! Hassan's gotta go! Do
We
it!
have a mortar team ready for orders.
Relay! Pull back! Pull back! Go, go, go!
Captain here, what have you got? Eyes on me. We're patrolling.
Ready for deployment,
Moving
sir.
into crowd territory.
You heard the man. We're up.
Reports of enemy movement near our victory point.
How did we lose our fuel?
Shouldn't be a problem. Medical station on the way. The boys are waiting.
Loaded,
The victory point is under enemy control now.
Mortar crew, hold that! Double time, soldiers. The medical station.
Orders have been carried out.
And ready. We're up, boys.
Clearing a path. We'll find a way.
The word, sir. All right. Let's
The
move
enemy
out.
holds all victory points.
We're taking
Listen
it
up.
from them.
Watch the weapons at the ready.
You men,
got
get
patrol.
ready. Double time, soldiers. Point out. Move to secure
Leave the front
position.
lines, boys. Try
Hold
to
it up,
take
then. Halo, put it in. Shake a leg. Kill anything that looks German.
We're up, fellas. Captain leading the way. Snap to it. Go. Shake a leg. Move it.
Well, let's move out.
You guys know. Keep a lookout. We'll raise the
Word,
colors.
sir. It's on, boys.
Right now, raise the colors.
God damn it! Someone get us out of here!
Officer, secure the territory. Kill anyone in our way.
Boys, new recruits.
Commander, we've lost a sector.
Ready to move.
Medic!
Got orders
I
to
need a
move.
medic! Man down! For deployment, sir.
Get ready to jump
Boys
off.
are waiting. All right, boys. Man.
Orders coming.
Crowd's got us pegged. Don't miss.
Ready to go, sir.
Get those
Hey,
pegs.
Tip, to snatch that location.
Get those mortars ready for direct fire.
Okay, moving. Up to it. Secure that position. We're locked and loaded. Gary's got a nice little nest egg here. Let's take it.
No room to challenge.
What do you need? Let's advance. Yeah, we're taking it from. On our way, sir.
Captain here, what have you got?
Boys are waiting. Generating the objective.
Hey, that's us, fellas.
You men, get ready. Taking it personally. Return fire. Pour it on them. Stay low, goddammit.
A victory point is under attack. We must act.
Let that infantry down.
Engineers on the field.
That's a go, boys. Capture that area. Move. All right, men. Stand. Take that damn ground.
Lead them into battle.
Shit! Why? Pull back, goddammit! Move!
Scouts, loaded and ready.
Word, sir.
M1918 automatic rifles will be distributed imminently.
risky, but I guess do it anyway. Super risky. You see an engineer there, you're not thinking like, oh, there could be a mine. Just unga bunga, right?
Sector's gone. We must take it back.
Everybody unga, everybody bunga.
Enemy movement near victory point. Victory point now under enemy control. We've lost control of a sector.
Let's go. Lugging crowd, boys who wait. Ready for deployment? Come on, let's get this show on the road.
Captain here. Let's keep an eye
On your feet. Let's go.
Germany,
Say the word, sir. Combat patrol boy. Got yourself one shot. Hold up.
All rifleman squads are being upgraded with VARs, Commander. Crabs have taken the lead.
German fighters. Holy Jesus Christ!
You heard me! Strike that goddamn position!
Defend our victory point. We're losing it.
Look at he crowds you see. Get it going! Move!
On my side!
Boys away.
They've taken our victory point.
Ready for deployment, sir. Let's go. All right. Let's move like we got a purpose.
My red two is under enemy! Signal the retreat!
This fucking guy is so slippery with his machine gun.
Get those goddamn shots on target.
Stop fighting back! Wait! Retreat! Back to HQ!
And pull. Stand high, boys. Here we come, Jerry.
Captain here. That's Jerry Tick.
Go it, boys. All right, men. Now they're infantry. Reinforcements here. Come on. Head out. Let's advance. Hold back, Contact. Gun carriages back. Back us up. Take down that flag.
Looks like we got a mission.
Reese's don't need heroes, boys.
Gun carriages got him through.
HMG team deploying. is under attack. We must act.
Get out of here! Fall back! Boys away! Now! Get those mortars ready for action! Captain here! Open fire on those snaps! Wrestle that point from under us! What's the op? Take it from them! What? Take it from Hold the boys!
Defend our victory point. We're losing it. They've captured a victory point.
Answer, boy! Hold back, goddammit! Orders, come back! Take an HMG fire! Officer, report!
Engine not our finest captain here, but it's done.
Officer, report! Break it up!
Reports of enemy movement near our victory point. A victory point has fallen into enemy control. Barracks taking fire!
That's us. Orders in.
The enemy is stealing our munitions point. The enemy... Our opponent has all victory points under their control. Act now!
Excuse me? Why did that have no HP?
Crowds are pushing us back.
What the fuck,
We're down
dude?
to 250.
Ready for action now! I'm doing it! Secure that position!
Territory lost.
Under fire! Small arms! Incoming!
Why are you not firing? I don't say.
Jerry's got a nice little nesting. Get those guns. Here we go. Deploy and fire. Shooting it off. Shoot back. That's a go, boys. Stick together. You heard me. Right, man. So much for peace and quiet.
Dude, fuck off.
Combat engineer. Don't stop, boy. I hate that damn crowd.
Make it go. Stick together.
Fire and go. Keep that arm going.
Shit. Take a heavy fire.
Come on, go there.
200 points remaining on our front line.
That's us raiding the line. Too far back here.
Orders coming from here.
Leave it. We're eating good over here.
Bro.
Minus some crowds. Secure for transport. Hold it up on point.
Sector lost. No contact.
Get on with it. Browning. Front center. Come on. Lead squad. Right on your own goddamn target. That's a go, boy. He's dead. Now get out of here. Fall back. Forward on. Yeehaw.
That's the signal. Fire at those sons of bitches. Move your asses.
Down. Stall it. Give it some gas.
Head out.
A victory point is under attack. We must act.
Gotcha, bitch.
Drop vehicle down.
Watch this around. Infantry's on the move. Reversing
They captured a victory point. Defend our victory point. We're losing it. Victory point now under enemy control.